Hey guys, what is going on? Ephemeros here. So, we're back at it again. I did tell you I would continue, right? And I did have a lot of comments that are like, "Hey, we wanna see the next episode." And I'm like, sure, why not? This has always been a fun video, but again, I do have to remind you guys, I just do it in parts, not to like really the main reason why I do it is, dude, if listen, right, check this out, the video length is like nearly 5 hours, 447 minutes. I'm sorry, like if I was completely locked in, this would turn into like an 8, 9, 10 hour video. Dude, I'd need like at least 2, 3 days to even render that. It's and like aside from that, right, I do want to like pump the brakes a little bit, because while I could yap and like you guys can like kind of put me in the background while you're eating or whatever else you're doing. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Okay, I'm good. Mainly it's, again, in terms of like, also the storage, my god, because of like my long form content, my storage does complain quite a lot. He's like, hey, your fucking files is backed up, delete some fucking videos. Also, yes, Discord is open. Just open the link, like click the read more thing in the description, check it out. I'm sure I'll probably put it there, right? See you guys there, right? I already have the server up. I'll probably be online later, most likely. Will I respond? Maybe, but like, I do want to rest, because I did record like 2 hours worth of footage, of raw footage in like, I played Monster Hunter and progressed some of the story like even more forward. And in the next video, you guys will see me like have my second encounter with Zora Magdaros. Anyhow, let's get into this, bro. I'm getting a little off topic, bro. This is a complete history of Monster Hunter weapons by SuperRAD. Also, I saw him comment on my video with like another account. He just said hi. Pretty cool guy. Anyway, so we left off last time at Hammer. We left off initially here, but we are here to continue. Let me just close a few things here. Hold on. Give me a sec. So like things are running smoothly. Are we good? Are we good? All right. Ding 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 ding.
Back in the days of the original Monster Hunter game on the PS2,
My nose is stuffy, by the way, so if I sound weird sometimes, there you go.
there were only 6 weapons to choose from, 7 if
Really?
you count the inclusion of the dual blades in the Western release. One of these weapons
Holy.
is the hammer, one of the most iconic impact weapons in the series and a popular option for hunters.
I think I saw Armando comment recently, like, aside from Switch Axe, like he was excited I tried it out. I do have footage of me trying it out, right, in the Coral Highlands or whatever that magnificent place was that I just I just went to. Um, it's pretty good, bro. I'm a bit confused on the file stuff and how you charge the sword, but apparently this is his main weapon, like the hammer.
Looking to knock the ever-loving shit out of an unsuspecting monster.
Yeah,
A simplistic weapon, but one not without its own appeal. The hammer has a long history of being part of any effective hunting team, and as an impact weapon is highly sought after for making sure all parts can be broken on monsters, especially monsters like Baroth, who have incredibly durable ridges on their head. Unfortunately, not every monster part is weak to longsword. I know, it's a travesty, but we'll have to suffer through it for now. And please,
I mean, don't these guys don't you longsword players have like a whole counter? Right? A pretty effective one at that. Like, if it lands,
consider liking and subscribing so YouTube's algorithm will bless me in the future. They've kidnapped my family and refused to give them back to me unless my video has a high engagement rating. So fingers crossed. In the meantime...
Okay, guys, go, as usual, yeah, go watch the original video, please. I don't want to, like, accidentally, like, steal viewers, right? Like, Sure, I suppose, but most of you guys have, because most of you here are like veterans, right? I'm really mostly the clueless guy here. Although yes, I am learning. Hey, I'm not gonna stay clueless forever. Um, yeah, go support his channel. He's really cool.
I'm Super
Also, this video probably took a lot of work to do. Like even if it's like individual videos.
Rad, once again joined by Flyan, and this is the
Ryan, what the fuck? He's here! No way! I didn't expect him. Oh my god! I didn't expect him to make an appearance. That's cool.
history of the hammer.
My boy Flyan. We reacted to one of his videos
A
recently.
good portion of
Okay, but not recently. Whoa, that is a false statement. Not recent, but we have.
the weapon changes seen between Generation 1 and 2 are fairly minimal, but they are there. For that reason, we're going to bundle all of them into one section covering the start of Generation 1 and looking at how the weapon advanced all the way to Freedom Unite.
that a
Similar to
teddy
the
bear?
Great Sword in Generation 1, the hammer mostly functions under a hit-and-run playstyle. The hunter would see the most benefit through attacking and then generally rolling or repositioning out of the way in order to engage briefly once again. The
Yeah.
big difference between the Great Sword and hammer, however, was the type of damage each applied. While the Great Sword was one of the best weapons at applying high slashing damage, the hammer was
Okay.
one of the best and almost only ways of applying high impact damage, which was not only effective at breaking specific
Yeah, it's basically blunt force. Thing is with like the great sword, because well, the slashing, it's essentially like a big cleaving weapon. Cleaving is the, I suppose, the writer choice in terms of like, well, not writer choice, no, like a more apt description of it, right? So yeah.
monster parts,
Really
ones
cool.
generally more dense than say a tail or a wing, but also had the added ability of stunning or knocking out monsters in later generations.
Crazy.
However, in Generation 1, the ability to stun these monsters was not yet implemented into impact weapons, meaning your main reasoning for selecting this
man.
weapon was both the high damage and the ability to break monster parts you may not typically be able to.
That's fair.
To go over some of the attacks
I mean, that's fair. Don't you get like extra? I mean, obviously, there's an incentive to break parts other than like an offensive advantage or perhaps a utility advantage. And where, let's say, oh, this specific what this specific flying wyvern perhaps will fly much less if you like break its wing or something. Like, sure, that's already an incentive, but I think the bigger incentive I've seen in effect, like even with myself, right, I'm like, ooh, now I gotta break that part, or I gotta cut that part off, is like not, I, is it called an extra carve? Because like when a part falls off, right, or just generally a part, well, yeah, falls off, you can also like, other than the tail stuff which you can carve, we can actually carve, you do have like stuff in where they just drop it, but I am speaking from like MH World's perspective, so hey, feel free to, to tell me if you've played any of the older games, the if there were actually like really good incentives to break parts other than like offensive, incentives, or like, oh, they're weaker now in this area, or what might have you.
attacks briefly. Some of the main moves include a short jab attack that is quick to perform but low damage, an overhead swing that's slower but a little stronger, and
Nice.
a pound combo that can be performed by consecutively pressing up on the right analog stick in the PS2 releases
fun.
and on the triangle or X button in subsequent releases. Now, if you remember from my Greatsword video, the weapon didn't actually receive its charge mechanic until Generation 2, but the hammer not only had a similar charge mechanic already implemented in the PS2 game, but has multiple sub-mechanics that make it incredibly useful and
Huh.
more versatile than you may expect.
Holy.
First, there's the level 1 charge, which performs a quick attack
Bang.
with little damage. Then, the
Okay.
level 2 charge that will perform
Oh,
a double hit.
boom,
And
boom.
finally, the level 3
Super
charge that performs one of the most powerful attacks for the weapon, the Super Pound, which has a large buildup but deals such an excessive amount of
Oh
damage
my
that
God.
it's especially useful when you have a monster downed.
Yeah,
What
for
makes
sure.
the hammer's charge mechanic truly unique is what hunters can do while charging. Specifically, the hunter gains the ability to move while charging at the cost
Holy
of stamina,
shit.
making it one of the
Oh,
most
fair.
mobile weapons in the game for the amount of damage it can produce.
I Actually, yeah. My
Not
God.
only that, but if the hunter is moving when they release the level 3 charge, they will enter the spin attack, which has its own sub-mechanics based on everything we've already discussed. While
Okay.
spinning, the hunter has the ability to press up on the right analog stick, and depending on how many spins have taken place, a specific finisher will be produced.
I
If the hunter
see.
presses up on the second or third spin, they'll perform the double attack I mentioned before, where they'll lunge forward slightly and then hit with an uppercut swing. But if they press up on the fourth spin, they'll produce the golf swing attack, which is the most powerful attack in the hammer's arsenal. Simply letting all
damn.
of the spins finish will lead into an upswing motion that is meant to act as a long animation to punish for not ending the spin early. So really,
Fair,
the golf swing
fair.
attack is the most effective. Funny enough, I was recording some of this footage on a Japanese copy of the PS.
I thought you could just like hold it. Or not hold it. I said like you could just stay in that spinning state and get the like strongest attack. I suppose that's fair. Overcharging it is crazy.
2 game, and I realized that some of the moveset is different depending on if you were playing the Western version or the Japanese
Really?
release. As an
Strange.
example, the golf swing mechanic can actually be performed by simply pressing up on the right analog stick 3 times, producing a double pound into golf swing combo, but this isn't possible in Japan. Just something I
Oh,
thought
wow.
was cool and something that stopped being a factor with the release of Monster Hunter G onward. Throughout the first and second generation, the weapon also has access to multiple
Okay.
draw mechanics, including a traditional draw
Whoa.
attack and the ability to charge out of the draw with a proper button combination. Other than switching to button attacks instead of the analog stick, the real major change in Generation 2 was introducing KO damage and the ability to stun monsters,
damage,
leaving them
my
open
God.
for heavy damage. Hammer was definitely a defining part of this mechanic, and while it was introduced early, it wouldn't be until Freedom Unite that the stun visual was actually implemented. I'm specifically talking about how the weapon will shoot off yellow sparks when hitting the monster on the head, visualizing that the hunter is contributing to knockout damage. This would become the main focus of the hammer and its main identity. The weapon was and still is known for being
yes.
a knockout king, and how it can use
Oh my
the
God.
opportunity of a knocked out monster rippled
stunned.
throughout each generation, taking a simplistic
Is he about to
weapon but
pose?
making it a
He
dominant
is, isn't he?
factor in the meta of Monster Hunter. Now let's take a look at Generation 3 and see what small amount of changes were added.
Sure. Talk to me nice. Also, flying being here is kind of crazy. Why did they collab? I mean, honestly, should I really be asking why? I mean, it's cool nonetheless.
One of the biggest changes in Gen 3 would be
Oh, here we go. Here he is.
how
Okay.
the level 2 charge attack has been reworked. Instead of performing a double strike maneuver, the hunter instead now performs an uppercut swing. And most of the charging moves, including
Dang.
this new uppercut swing, can be
Cool.
comboed out of easily, allowing the hunter to output damage at a much higher rate
Damn,
than was previously
okay.
possible in the previous generations. On top of the new move, the swinging mechanic changed the type of finisher that would be performed if the hunter canceled out of it early. Originally, the hunter would perform the
Really?
lunging
Oh
double
my
swing
God.
attack, but
Hello,
now would perform the more
flashbang.
useful uppercut swing that was faster, safer, and overall a better option to use
Wait.
with
Oh
the
my
hunter.
God. Hold on. Can we run it back a bit? Oh my God. Dude, the flashbang distracted me so much. Jesus Christ. Alright, I'm sorry. Oh my God.
generations. On top of the new move, the swinging mechanic changed the type of finisher that would be performed if the hunter canceled out of it early. Originally,
Okay.
the hunter would perform the lunging double swing attack, but now would perform the more useful uppercut swing that was faster, safer, and overall a better option to use with
There,
the hunter,
okay.
but still not better than the golf swing. The uppercut launches the hunter forward slightly and is great for closing distance on a monster. It really is a weapon that benefits from its simplicity and allows it to be effective and accessible within every generation up to and including this point. Luckily, there are some other big mechanical changes we can discuss. To start, similar to how the hunter can press the main attack button, triangle in most cases, 3 times to produce the pound into a golf swing combo, they can now also start the combo off with the circle button for a quick side swing into
Holy.
pound into golf swing, adding a little bit more variety to the weapon overall.
I
when it
like
comes to
it.
attacking. Comboing is so effective at this point that the hammer also has several infinites it can perform, generally following one of the main
See, what I like about Monster Hunter is its combat is structured in terms of like being appropriate to the weapon. I would have said I wanted to say chunky, but like yeah, there are chunky weapons, but at the same time you have stuff like the longsword, you know, I suppose the lance as well, and the double sword, right? But like the thing is that in how they depict it, it's apt. It's appropriate. And what I like about it is it fits so well into their style of mechanics and how they go about making their game because obviously the monsters are not like the super, like obviously you have a few freaks out there in where they are really fast. At the same time, they have fast recovery. So like you have these insane monsters like fighting and shit, but you are not like impossibly. The odds aren't like always impossibly against you. Like sometimes, sure, you face a freak ass monster once in a while, right? But otherwise, man, normally you're given the chances and you're given, you know, these small openings and these small windows to do your best to, you know, kind of. But it doesn't exclude a weapon. It's not like, oh, you know, you like, will you have more opportunities, let's say, as like a dual blade player compared to like someone using a GS or a great sword? Yeah, hello, you're nimble as fuck. Like, but considering that, you know, great sword is compensated for by these chunky ass damages that it can output, right, in singular hits or in double hits. Um, I just love the mechanics so much, bro. It feels so appropriate. There's enough weight, there's enough tell on the weapon that's like, okay, this is meant for this. You know, let's say dual blades meant for these fast, you know, these fast ass combos that come by really quickly, and it's promoting like, you know, aggression towards the monster because, well, you don't have a lot of damage, but you can strike fast, so you why not bunch it up, right? And then, man, it's just so cool, is it not? My God, like the mechanics that they added in the game, like the whole combat system in of itself, it feels rewarding. It feels rewarding, bro. Like some weapons will blow in certain situations, no shit. But generally, man, my God, the combat in it is satisfying.
Combos into a golf swing, followed by level
Oh, sorry for the tangent.
1 charge attack, and then back into the original combo. The weapon can perform and weave through these moves with little to no downtime. It was a serious
wow.
game changer within its generation and made the weapon so much more versatile and welcoming to use,
I
upping
bet,
the
my
damage
God.
output considerably. It should also be noted that Gen 3 introduced the exhaustion mechanic, which allowed hunters to slow down monsters and keep them in place by physically exhausting them, forcing them to recover over time, and weapons could now inflict this type of damage. For example, the Super
Insane.
Pound move was much better at inflicting exhaust damage than the uppercut, while the uppercut was better at stunning or KOing monsters. Now I know what you're thinking. This sounds short.
Yes.
It seems like while there weren't that many changes made to the hammer in Gen 3, the ones that do exist were incredibly effective. The quality far outweighs the quantity in this generation. And if that doesn't sway you,
Sure.
there's one more thing we gotta talk about.
I mean, I believe it, bro. I mean, a bunch of mechanics, like, you've seen this in multiple games, bro. Oh my God, my fingernail just got chipped. What the fuck? You've seen this in multiple games, bro. Like, you can name a game and they'll probably have something in the change logs of like a specific big update that, like, it's not a crazy update, right, per se, but it's quality enough. It's changed enough that the update is both quality to the point perhaps it even makes like this small divide in the community, which I mean, fair enough, man.
Here, the goddamn Grunga gas.
Stop right there, you hammer-wielding fucking casual.
What the fuck
Do you
is this?
see this? Do you see this shit?
What
That's
is
right,
this?
bitch. It's the goddamn Grongig ass.
But it looks like an Urgan testicle on a stick. You pour
What
yourself a
the
nice
fuck?
hot cup of shut the fuck up and take a look at the stats on this mean son of a bitch.
You're reading that right. It's
Okay.
1508 raw.
Oh my God! I mean, negative 15 affinity, but that's a lot of defense. Oh my God! But it looks like an Oregon. Okay, bro.
That's higher than any other hammer. Scratch that. Any other weapon in the goddamn game.
Sure.
Oh,
I
and
believe
what's
it.
that? Plus 25 defense. Thanks, Grunga gas. What a
Fucking bro.
And yeah, the negative affinity is lame. Life's
Sure.
not fair. Monster Hunter certainly isn't. Get over it.
What's that? You want to max this shit as far as it can go? Well, there, Missy. You just try not to soak through your poogie print panties while we crunch these numbers.
The hammer's modifier is
What?
5.2, you fucking scrub. Learn the
Damn,
damage formula,
alright, what I do? What the fuck?
pleb. You got the goddamn Grongigas. You got AUL or Honed Blade. You got the Power Charm. You got Power Talon, Demon Drug, Mega Demon Drug. Note
Oh
that
my
these don't
God.
stack. Might Seed, and Might Pill. Also, these do not stack.
With all these juicy buffs, we get up to 1856. What's that? Someone's got a big dick? Playing like a real manly man, are we? Alright then, curl up your mustache and roll up your sleeves while we activate Feline Heroics.
Holy shit.
2,506. Did I fucking stutter, bitch? 2,500 and fucking
2.5k.
But look at that sharpness. What am I supposed to do with blue sharpness? You take another sip of that, shut the fuck up, because yes, you'll need sharpness +1 or honed blade for this bad boy to make him any good, because then what? Purple.
That means his sharpness modifier goes from 1.2 to 1.44, which on top of being the best possible return for your 10 skill points, means a nearly 25% increase in damage. What's that? You're running a set with Awaken?
There's a good little boy. Now this Soul
What
Crusher has...
the fuck? What is going on? What is this tangent, bro? I mean, these numbers are nice and crunchy, though, but my god. 400 slime?
400 slime.
What the
Plus
fuck does
80
that
with
mean?
Bombardier, plus 40 with Pyro, maxing at 520. Bitch.
That shit will slime your little sister and won't even
No, what's up?
call her in the morning. I'm probably gonna cut this part out.
I'm sorry, it's in the script. But
No,
slime is cheap and it's better to use elemental weakness. Wah!
You bite your tongue, fuckwit. Hammer's elemental modifiers
Jesus
are utter
Christ.
shit anyway.
Slime explosions equals
Sure. I mean, you're already hitting with enough. Look, bro. Let's get real for a sec. These monsters are huge. They're gigantic, bro. The fact you can wield a hammer strong enough to break parts of this monster. Why? Why fucking add elements? Like, sure, like no wonder it kind of sprinkles in some like elemental whatever, right? But yeah, you know, it's already strong, man.
daggers for days. And when you're grinding 4-point or pack mentality to get your scrawny ass to HR 125, you'll take all the damage you can fucking get.
Once you get yourself this
God.
beautiful lump on a stick, you'll never have to run to the marina to change sets ever fucking again. You'll get to stand there in the tavern, get drunk as fuck, and prance like the motherfucking badass you are. So get ready to break some chins, bitch. You'll be farming Feel the Heat G2 for a while.
Because once
I
you
guess,
go
bro.
goddamn Grongagas,
You never go back.
Jesus Christ. I can't really say it's overhyped. The damage values is not lying, bro. And you're reading this from, well, this is coming from a great sword player. I care about them numbers, bro.
Moving on to Generation 4, we can see how
I like how we just go back to the casual, like, calm music. Ding, 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 ding. Moving on to the Generation 4.
verticality and the ability to use aerial attacks affected the hammer. Spoiler alert, it didn't do much. Not much at all,
Really?
really. All
Okay.
of the combo abilities are still there for the weapon, and now
Cool.
when you're jumping off a ledge, you can perform an aerial attack, which you can also
Nice.
combo out of. Each charge level also has its own aerial attack that can be performed. The first charge level will allow you to perform a strong pound attack that can be comboed out of, but generally won't be used by any hunter in the game. Chances are you're going to be in charge level 2 or 3 whenever you jump off the ledge because charge level 1 is such a short time frame. The level 2 charged aerial attack is a stronger pound. It can't be comboed
Nice.
into as easily, and its only follow-up is an uppercut, but it's fairly powerful. Regardless, the level 3 charge is even more powerful and gets followed up by a golf swing, making its damage output much higher than the previous options. One important feature introduced in this generation is the ability to climb ledges while charging, which continues the tradition
Really?
of the hammer being surprisingly mobile throughout
Yeah,
each game.
what the
On
fuck?
to Generations, we can take a look at some of the arts and styles that helped flesh out the weapon overall. Guild and sometimes Adept style were probably the most actively
No
used versions
way.
within the original release.
No shot. I know that's not Valstrax's base, right? I know it isn't. Probably not. What are those thrusters on that thing? Oh my god.
generations, and Valor and Alchemy became useful factors within the
Dude.
Ultimate release. Guild style is exactly what you expect it to be and focuses on the core mechanics of the hammer we have seen in each previous generation. Since the weapon is so simplistic, it's already incredibly effective at what it does, meaning guild style is perfect for anyone looking to optimize damage. While I don't want to focus on adept style too much, it is interesting to note that it introduces the supercharge mechanic, which provides the hammer with 3 new charge attacks that are generally stronger than your traditional moves.
Holy.
The supercharge can only be activated after a successful evade and also charges the charged jumping attacks as well. Alchemy style mostly functioned as guild style with a few added benefits, namely being able to slot in an extra art and the overarching abilities of Alchemy Barrel. Some moves are slightly limited, but overall it's a great option for hunters that like guild style with added abilities. Once again, Valor's style dominates another weapon in terms of effectiveness. The Valor Sheath cancel moves include a powerful upward swing or a side smash attack, and easily build up meter to put the hunter into the Valor state. Once in the Valor state, the opportunities for high damage really begin to open up. Rather than simply charging from level 1 to level 3, hunters can now attack out of level 1 charge to level 2, attack again, charge to level 3, and end things with a strong finisher. Or once in
okay, bro. See? This started to sound like a great sword here, like the fucking sequence you just said.
3 hunters can begin a second tier of charge that will allow them to perform an even more devastating finisher similar to what we see in Adept style. And if you knock out the monster, oh baby, it's over for them. On to hunter arts, the spinning meteor art is probably the most utilized out of all the possible options,
what does it do?
With absolute readiness not far behind.
Damn!
The move is incredibly powerful. Not so much in its buildup of 5 spinning hits, but in its absolutely absurd finisher, which has some of the highest motion values the weapon has ever seen. It's a great ability to use when you've knocked out or trapped a monster.
Oh, these abilities are super cool looking, man.
It's just so ridiculously powerful that you'd be crazy not to slot it in. Another art that doesn't see as much use is the Impact Press introduced in Generations Ultimate. It's an overtime ability that adds shockwave effects to charge attacks on the hammer.
Oh, that's cool! What the fuck? That's cool! What do you mean?
This can be especially beneficial on Valor style as the hunter will be performing multiple charge attacks in succession. These shockwaves act as extra hits and contribute mostly to knockout damage, meaning you'll have a much easier time knocking out a monster and opening them up for high damage finishers. And with that, I think we've covered everything of note within Generation 4.
Really? How was Impact Press not used a lot? It seems really good.
All that's really left is to move on to Generation 5 and see what World, Iceborne, and Rise have in store for us.
Alright, we're getting into my territory now. Well, on Worlds, really, is what I'm saying. Okay, talk to me nice.
Like most weapons, World began a large rework on both controls and mechanics. The side smack move that was assigned to its own button can now be performed with triangle and a directional input. So then what does circle do now? Well, it introduced a brand new move known as Big Bang, which, as long as the hunter hits the monster each time, can be comboed consecutively up to 4 times before ending the combo with the Big Bang finisher.
Wow!
Each hit is stronger than the last, and the finisher is absolutely bonkers in the amount of damage dealt. Truly the most...
See, I love it! They keep the core, like... You know, they keep the core dopamine receptor hit. You know, because like you go like look at this, right? I know how it must feel for hammer players. This is crazy. Look at this, watch, right?
A brand new move known as Big Bang, which, as long as the hunter hits the monster each time, can be comboed consecutively up to 4 times before ending the combo with the Big Bang.
You see that?
Hit is strong.
See that's cool. That's cool. I like it. They're introducing something new, keeping the core dopamine mechanics of like the original hammer, but it's new. But because usually like nowadays when you see something like relatively new in terms of like an update or change to something, usually it's really hated, right? Or maybe it causes a divide. But really, this is just pretty cool, man. Like adding this stuff, man. Come on.
Longer than the last, and the finisher is absolutely bonkers in the amount of damage dealt. Truly the most unga bunga move I've seen up to this point. In terms of sliding attacks, the most notable is the charge slide maneuver, which has many options for actions out of it. The hunter can press triangle to perform a powerful aerial slam, or simply release the charge to perform this crazy spinning aerial maneuver. To be the most effective, however, the hunter will need to utilize a brand new mechanic to this iteration, the power charge. While charging the hammer, players can press circle to cancel out of the charge and then enter the power charge state.
Whoa.
And this state will stay active as long as the hunter's weapon is unsheathed or until they get hit by either the monster or another hunter. When performing a sliding charge, hunters can press the circle button to quickly enter this state. It benefits the player to always be in the state as damage outputs will be higher and KO damage is also increased. Honestly, I can't stress enough how much some moves benefit from the state. Some of the finish.
Oh my god, that's fantastic, bro. Because like, okay, obviously, like, as someone who uses, again, I will mention this a lot, right? As someone who does use greatsword, you're looking for, I have this charge, I need to use this charge for something, whether it be a strong, wide, sweeping slash, or whatever it may be, a tackle for like extra iframes. Let's say you're at charge 2 or 3, or just, you need to waste it on a monster. You either get charge 2 or 3, and then you're doing a TCS, right? Like, sure, but by then you are holding and releasing a charge. You can't hold on to it. You can hold it briefly, but in that same immediate moment, you must release it, right? The fact that hammer, like, you can boom, boom, you build this charge and you empower your weapon. Oh, come on! That's cool! Holy shit!
And charge attacks did exponentially higher damage in comparison to an uncharged attack and had new animations. So what about Iceborne? Well, hunters can perform a Slinger Burst while charging, and this will not
that's where the Slinger Burst comes from, okay.
interrupt their charge state, meaning they can use this to flinch a monster and still get off a full level 3 charge. Additionally, after the level 2 charged upswing, hunters can press the Clutch Claw attack to grapple onto the monsters and tenderize it. This can also be performed after that crazy spinning aerial move, and now when grappling toward the monster, the hunter will continue with extra aerial spinning hits for higher damage.
Insane.
Now, the big differences in Monster Hunter Rise mechanically are how Power Charge functions. Rather than being a temporary state that the hunter activates, it's now a permanent state that the hunter can switch between and is denoted by the color of the hammer icon beside their sharpness gauge. The traditional style.
I like seeing the difference between Worlds, World, Iceborne, and Rise, because World and Iceborne were like keeping the same mechanics of World, right, and adding onto it. What I like about that is, when you have it, right? When you have these weapons and stuff like that, you're mainly sticking to, like, is it new? Yes, of course. We see the difference between, like, Gen 2, 3, 4, and then, well, you go to 5, which is, like, I think World? Am I correct? But yeah, when you get onto World, there are new mechanics, but they're mainly sticking to what is already there. They're just adding onto it. But with Rise, I do feel like it's like kind of like refurbished a little bit. When you refurbish something a little bit, you're changing the whole thing, but not the whole thing. See, how the fuck do I explain this? It's more fast paced, right? That's what I observed with like Rise, because of their. I forgot. I mean, they still do keep the greatsword, from what I see, relatively similar, but it looks a lot more fast paced, a lot more fast. Like even the stuff like the hunting horn that I've seen, yeah, it's a lot more fast paced and like actual just general gameplay.
Be known as yellow default.
So I wonder how this will be.
It will have a yellow glowing hammer icon on the hunter's UI. Meanwhile, switching into the strength or power charge state will change the icon to blue. Animations change in between each of these states, and the hunter can perform an evade step while switching between them. If the hunter sheathes their weapon or gets hit, they will not revert to their previous state, meaning it is completely manual now in Rise in comparison to how it was in World. Additionally, swapping from power charge to default instantly gives you a max charge, making it useful for quickly firing off a level 3 charge attack or one of your Silkbind attacks that relies on the level of charge you currently have. Another notable change is that the default stance can perform the Big Bang finisher out of the spinning attack now. Generally, hunters will probably always want to stay in the strength state, as it's a slower but more powerful option for hunters that allows them to quickly fire off a level 3 charge attack when switching back to yellow.
I mean, and then again, hammer's already quite inherently slow. That's a fucking sledgehammer weapon archetype, what do you think is gonna, you know?
While in blue, you get access to a level 1 charging attack that allows you to reposition in place, a level 2 gap closer, and a level 3 charged brutal big bang. If the hunter is moving while using this, they'll perform the spinning bludgeon while in yellow and the step smack attack while in blue. The first Silkbind move is simply the spinning aerial attack we saw introduced in World, Silkbind spinning bludgeon. Instead of needing to slide down to activate it, it can now be used on demand as long as you have the wire bugs to activate it. I personally think turning this attack into a Silkbind mechanic is a little lackluster, as it was perfectly usable as an environmental mechanic. However, it does have decent motion values when used against large monsters and can function as a gap closer. The charge level you activate this in would determine the amount of potential spins possible, and the move costs 1 wire bug. The second Silkbind attack, Impact Crater, is the move where damage specifically is determined based on the charge level you activate it on. The hunter will launch themselves into the air and come down with a powerful smashing attack. The higher the charge...
Dude, that's such an exaggerated movement for it. That's lovely.
More effective this move is going to be overall, so swapping into a level 3 charge from Power Stance and activating this ability is highly useful.
Man, Monster Hunter's animations, bro. When shit gets so absurd, you got your fucking hunter's feet flying up into the fucking air because of how strong their weapon is, and how heavy it is. Man, come on. The exaggeration is lovely.
Level 3 Impact Crater could be close to double the motion value of no charge. Silkbind Spinning Bludgeon can be swapped out for another skill known as Dash Breaker, which has the same general function of a gap closer while producing damage.
Oh, wow,
the main differences lie in the fact that Dash Breaker can be charged before launching the hunter forward, and it negates enemy damage while advancing. For the switch skills, the A-button side smash can be replaced with the new Water Strike attack, which is by far one of the most effective skills for a weapon. It is specifically an active counter mechanic you can use at the push of a button as long as you're in a default state, as you can't combo into it from what I understand. That being said, it blocks pretty much anything, including roars, meaning you can open the monster up at any opportunity. The blue strength...
What the fuck? Why do... Okay, that's weird. Alright, that's a weird decision. Like, blocking, I get. A counter for the hammer? Why? It's such a powerhouse already.
State of the hammer can be
that's a bit overkill, I'm not gonna lie.
Swapped out for the courage state, another mechanic seen in Generation Ultimate that allows and requires the hunter to combo their charge attacks, meaning charge level 1 must be used and then can be followed up with charge level 2, etc. While this is a nice gameplay change, I believe it's underutilized except specifically for elemental and status builds that are good for the additional hits provided. With all the Silkbind abilities and switch skills out of the way, I think we're finally done with Monster Hunter Rise. If there is any weapon within this series that has managed to hold on to its simplicity the most, it's definitely the hammer. Mechanically, it very gradually changed throughout each generation, and while many of the changes were incredibly useful, they weren't very substantial. It was a true quality over quantity scenario.
Honestly, yes. Nothing really much changed, just like you got hits, you got a bigger hit, and then you got maybe a couple like cooler moves, right? And what I'm super glad about is that they stuck to it. They stuck to what the hammer is, essentially. Obviously, a weapon is one thing when you orient it for a specific use. You got a cleaving, slicing, whatever, big heavy sword, which is essentially the greatsword. Right, and its exaggerated proportions and the absurd swings are, you know, for cutting, right? So fair enough. But the hammer, well, its main identity as a weapon, right, is bludgeoning. You are bludgeoning the fuck out of these monsters. You are breaking their parts. You are knocking them out. Right? It's a blunt, powerful weapon. And they stuck to it. That's why I'm super happy about it. Like, you know, obviously a weapon does change over time and does improve, but generally what I like to see, and the pattern I'm already liking so far, that's continuously happening, is that while they are improving it, there's not really nothing that crazy happening. Like, sure, I was a bit like, you know, like, that was weird, like with the water hit whatever with the hammer that essentially acted as like a sort of counter. I was like, okay, bro, why put this on a hammer? But like, all in all, fair enough, bro.
Generation 1 to Generation 5, the weapon is almost identical on the surface to what it
Honestly,
was
yeah.
in the past, and that's probably because it didn't need many improvements overall in
Yeah.
order to keep up
It's a
with
big
every
sledgehammer.
other weapon in the series. It was great from the get-go, and that hasn't changed. Anyway, that's all I have for you today in regards to the hammer. Thanks so much to my friend Flyan for participating in this video.
Awesome.
You can find their information in the description, and I highly
Oh, I didn't know Flying had like a face like cam, like, you know. That's cool.
suggest checking them out for all of your JRPG content.
Sick. All right. Next weapon, I guess. Ooh, this one is interesting. This one is interesting because sword and shield, right? I'm assuming not charge blade, like actual sword and shield. Very, very balanced. It's so balanced to the point like it's kind of stale. I'm not saying it is. I just have no experience in it. No, I haven't seen gameplay that much of it. Hey, I'm just judging from like completely new perspective. But can I see it being cool? Oh my god, absolutely. It's a weapon. Almost any weapon can be cool should you iterate it right. Oh, that is a pretty
Out of
cool
all the weapons in the Monster Hunter
quote-unquote sword.
series, we've already talked about some of the most iconic. Everyone knows about the Great Sword. The hammer,
Yes,
even
yeah.
the longsword is incredibly popular, but there's another weapon with a long history, one most players know about because it's generally the default selection at the start of various games. A weapon that has been around since Monster Hunter's inception, but from a surface level looks fairly ineffective. Its high utility and effectiveness are hidden behind the weapon's low raw damage, but I promise you,
Fair.
there's much more to this weapon than what first meets the eye.
Talk to me
Underneath
nice.
The hood is a deadly elemental contender that can be set up for almost any scenario.
That's actually true. Wow, yeah. If it's... Oh my god! Sorry, I think my mic is too close. Jesus Christ, sorry. If it's got like good elemental... I was gonna say extreme, but that's a bit of a big word. If it's got good elemental prowess and it's making such like many hits, not like dual blade frenzy crazy hits, but like enough hits to like, you know, build up something that would actually serve as like a really good weapon to like, you know, for those going for like a DOT damage over time build or like an elemental build up type, you know, yeah.
Fast attacks, high mobility, and incredible utility. The sword and shield can really surprise you if you give it the chance, and we're going to take a look at
Talk
that
to me
today.
nice, bro.
And please consider liking and subscribing. YouTube still has my family held hostage.
What
I
the
recently received an ear in the mail from them, and
See, okay, bro. You know what? Yeah, there you go. Thank you for reminding me. I do sometimes. This is why I should also remind my viewers, bro. Again, you know, if you want to support me, just sub because like simply forgetting to say it sometimes like really does. Like if you're enjoying a sort of video, really you do really forget sometimes. It's quite the phenomenon. But yeah, this is still YouTube, bro.
I'm starting to lose hope. Please, Susan, if you're watching this, please give me my kids back. I promise to produce better content for the Google overlords. In the meantime,
Google
I'm SuperRAD,
overlords.
and this is the history of the sword and shield.
I'm actually quite excited about this one because this is it. You know, there's more underneath the surface. That's why I'm interested.
There's a good chance that if you're introduced to Monster Hunter for the first time, that the sword and shield will be the weapon you try out before anything else. It's generally the default equipment on the hunter, and
I suppose.
potentially has one of the most easy to understand and inviting playstyles to start with. In a game where most weapons are slow, methodical, clunky,
Yes.
and require a large degree of patience, the sword and shield help alleviate that slightly by going more in the opposite direction. Let's talk about attacks first. The main combo you'll see hunters using using is the combo slash, which allows them to attack 3 times in a row by pressing up on the right analog stick consecutively. This is probably the most used attack when fighting generally, as it allows for consistent damage overall, but most hunters would cancel out of the final hit to begin again and may even start the combo with the jumping slash I will mention shortly. The combo can also be ended with the second move in the Sword and Shield arsenal, the spin slash, which can be activated.
Dude, I do like the moveset. Nice quick like slashes, then you got a shield bash as well. Ooh. That's that bread and butter type combo. I love it already. Wow.
By pressing left or right on the...
I don't know, man. It's something about Monster Hunter's like animators that just... Oh my god, chef's kiss, bro. Just straight peak.
Analog
my
stick.
God.
This attack can be used by itself anytime during the typical combo attack to cut it short. While it offers...
Is it not cool though? Like, they're... Obviously, you have a sort of like... How should I call it? Art through motion. Right? And obviously, if you're making a game, some of it should have this like creativeness to it. Would someone ever swing a fucking greatsword like to the point they're tipping over, feet in the air and everything? No, they wouldn't. Like, realistically, no, right? And obviously that ruins the fun. But that's the thing. You want a game to be fun. That's when they're fucking swinging their feet in the air and you're like, oh my god, I just made a powerful ass hit. You will really feel it because there is art in the motion. It's telling you, wow, you hit it big. You hit that monster hard. Right? And that's what I love about it. There's art through motion. It's just so lovely, bro.
Higher damage, it comes at the cost of a longer animation. Generally, it's better to save this for if you have a big opening after a combo, and probably shouldn't be used on its own, as a combo attack will do more overall damage than a single spin slash. The jumping slash can be performed either as a draw attack or by pressing down on the right analog stick while unsheathed. The nice thing about this attack is that using it beforehand allowed the hunter
if you can perform that like to unsheath, that's really quick. Oh my god.
To weave it into the combo maneuver. There's also a rolling attack that can only be performed after an evasive roll, which is great for starting combos over.
Nice.
Additionally, there is a final move that is weak but allows the user to attack while keeping their shield up. Players can also perform a bit of a pseudo infinite by attacking after an evade into their triple slash combo and then evading again to start the combo over rather than waiting for the ending animation. I don't know how effective it is overall, but it's there as an option.
Sure.
Maybe good. Yeah, and yeah, that's right, there's a shield. Similar to the greatsword, the sword and shield has the ability to block incoming attacks. These don't completely prevent damage, but can heavily mitigate it at the cost of stamina, and that's really where this weapon begins to shine, its utility. The main advantage of choosing this
That's fun. Instead of your sharpness, it's using stamina. Yeah, with greatsword, you're blocking with the whole sword, bro. You don't really have a choice for like, let's add a shield in there. No, you would look ridiculous in battle, and it's also probably too heavy at that point for it to be practical. Well, at least in in terms of like Monster Hunter terms, right? That would be impractical. Why not just block with your sword? Just sharpen it later.
And over others is its agility. Not only does the weapon have the ability to block, but hunters can still actively move at full speed with it unsheathed.
Are you serious?
Unlike other weapons that slow the hunter down while carrying them. Think of it as taking the utility of the greatsword block and hammer charge movement and mixing them together to make a defensive but highly mobile combination. There's a key downside to this weapon to help even it out in terms of effectiveness, generally how weak it is in comparison to any other weapon within this generation. Seriously, due to its low raw, if you're only managing to get 1 or 2 hits in, you're dealing virtually no damage to a monster at all. And even if you are managing to get in a large amount of attacks, due to how often the weapon was hitting a monster, its sharpness would plummet excessively, leaving hunters in a situation where they would find themselves bouncing more often than not. Well, that sounds awful, right? And I don't blame you for thinking so. Honestly, Sword and Shield was probably at its all-time weakest this generation on paper, but outside of utility, it did make up for its low raw damage and low sharpness in a major way. Let him cook. Damage, which was incredibly effective against the right matchups in Generation 1. For example, there's a weapon called Eternal Strife, and while it has the lowest raw...
Oh, that looks sick! What the fuck? I'm sorry for like freaking the fuck out, but oh my god, weapon design wise, yeah, that looks delicious. I mean the shield looks ineffective, but like rule of cool, bro, rule of cool. Oh my god, that's the type of shit I would draw as a kid. Not this like good of a design, but you know the blade shape with the teeth on the inner. Oh man.
Out of any sword and shield in the game, it has the highest elemental damage as well. And it just so happens to be Dragon Element, something incredibly useful against some of the harder matchups in this release. Compared to Raw, elemental damage is going to be much more consistent in its damage output due to modifiers, meaning the right sword and shield could seriously go a long way. I also want to point out that while sword and shield on paper seems like it's not particularly great in given situations, the inherent clunkiness and brokenness of Monster Hunter 1 allowed it to shine alongside other bonkers weapons like Lance, which we'll get to in another video.
Oh yeah.
Now I know you're saying to yourself, but SuperRAD.
For those like people, like I think there it was like a fucking, it was like a battalion of Lance players, and he said like, hey, me and 4 other Lance players are waiting for that video when you finally cover Lance. And I'm sorry to say, probably not this video, because I'm planning to end it at Bow, which is already like an hour and 40 minutes long. Like, we're in this recording right now 40 minutes. We have like 2 more weapons to go through like after this. But like, yeah. That video is coming, don't even worry about it.
Forgetting that the weapon can use items while unsheathed. Well, slow down, King, because while that is a staple feature
But you can't, that's insane! That's, oh wow.
Shield, it wasn't added into the series until Generation 2. Let's take a look now.
Sure. Oh my god. Oh,
There's not too much specifically changed for the weapon within this generation, aside from the inclusion of a new attack and a new key feature. First is the new upward slash that can be performed. By pressing R and triangle at the same time on the PSP, you know, R1 on PS2, the player can perform an upward slash that can reach higher vertically than most attacks. By performing a jumping slash and pressing triangle again, the player can combo into an upward slash out of it, and extending that combo into the triple slash seen in the previous generation. This move can also be done after a roll. It should also be pointed out that using it standalone as a combo starter wasn't very viable until later on in the series.
Great mobility though.
This maneuver was first seen in Generation 1, but really began to get fleshed out here. And again, the final attack of the 3-hit combo wasn't very effective. Most players would find themselves canceling out of the animation with a roll before the final hit and quickly get back into the start of the original combo. I should also point out that the jumping slash gained super armor in this generation, so while you can still take damage, it's not interruptible and great for pressure. While a new attack is great, it's great, the biggest addition in this generation is the weapon's ability to use items while unsheathed. By pressing R and square, the hunter will use whichever item they currently have equipped, similar to if they didn't have their weapon unsheathed at all. They can drink potions, set traps, and sharpen, though some—
Oh my god, I mean, it's amazing because yes, technically you've got a free hand, it's just holding a shield. It's probably just strapped onto your arm.
But this will sheath the weapon after use. This is surprisingly huge as a mechanical inclusion because it helps boost the overall utility and balance of the weapon, allowing it to better compete with the other options that focus on higher damage. And like the Greatsword, it can even block attacks like Gypsyro's flashes. Sword and Shield really did have it all. In perfect play, you'd be doing your best to not get hit, potentially never taking any damage if you're some sort of godly player. But the majority of players aren't at that level, and if any weapon cushions taking damage or finding yourself in a risky situation, it was Sword and Shield. Okay, so a major change for Generation 2, but not a lot of changes overall. What about Generation 3? Well, we're going to head over to Moga Village and see for ourselves.
Let's check it out. This is, bro, in terms of mobility and the things you can utilize as well in terms of uses. What? The things you can utilize as well. Yes, that's how utility works. Oh my. Oh! In terms of like how you can use, you know, the like sheer utility of Sword and Shield, it's fucking great. It's great, bro. It's great. Because like, I mean, you're mobile, you can use items. Dude, it's like the fucking fever dream for like, I don't know, if you're kind of like, let's say you play Greatsword and you got kind of tired of it, you're like, what the fuck is the hype about? Like, I get hit half of the time, like when I'm charging attacks. Okay, you switch to Sword and Shield, but this shit would feel like butter. You would glide across the battlefield like butter because of how mobile and useful this fucking thing is. Fair? Okay, I get it. He talking nice. Alright. Also, elemental wise, yes, amazing output. Oh my god, my
So
voice
Tri comes
cracked.
out, and with it, Sword and Shield gains multiple changes in its moveset. The tried and true triple slash combo still exists, but the button
Okay.
dedicated to the round slash has been altered. Instead of the typical round slash, you can instead press the button twice to perform a new horizontal slash into a vertical slash combo that's good for hitting above the hunter. The nice thing about the inclusion of this new combo is that all of these moves can
shield
now
bash.
be chained together. Jumping slash into triple slash into the new upper swing combo, and finishing off with the
fun.
round slash is now possible and really complements the flow of the weapon, especially when an opening presents itself. Again, you can perform a sort of pseudo-infinite by canceling the animation with an evade and immediately re-entering the combo. I don't do it very well in the footage that you're watching. And don't forget
It's okay,
that some
bro.
of these attacks were better than others in motion values and animations, meaning players may cancel out of specific hits and continue on with others. Tri continued with the additions by adding a shield bash maneuver. By holding a direction and pressing
Nice.
the A button twice, the hunter would first swing their shield and then follow up with a forward thrusting shield bash attack, which also gains a round slash finisher if you continue it.
Aw,
In Portable
peak.
3rd and 3 Ultimate, the
Amazing.
new combo that leads into an upper slash now has its own finisher, making it a secondary triple strike combo. Now the hunter will perform a quick horizontal slash into an upper slash and finish with a stronger round slash. These two forms of triple slash
Holy.
combos can be woven together slightly to perform a variety of combos depending on the hunter's preference or the
Amazing.
situation at hand. For example, during the triangle
Also, again, my god, with its like sheer, because the recovery as well is not bad. It's really not bad. You're only standing still for like, I don't know, maybe 0.3 seconds of some sort. But like after that, you're good. You're just good to move again.
attack, you can begin the circle combo whether you do a full combo or not. However, you can't start the circle combo and mix in the triangle combo at this time. These changes would carry over from Portable 3rd into 3 Ultimate, which outside of water combat didn't really add anything to the Sword and Shield formula. You know what did add a lot to the Sword and Shield combo though? Generation 4, baby.
Okay.
At least I hope it did, since I haven't actually looked at it while writing this line in the script.
Oh, there. Again, these scripts, bro. Again, you know, I gotta admire the script writing, bro. It's hard enough as it is, like, to present a video, because obviously with me, I improvise a lot, right? I improvise quite a lot of what I say, and sometimes that kind of leads me to, like, tangents sometimes. But to be fair, I'm not writing a script, right? Like, can I write a general script to go off of? Yeah, I've done it. Like I've done it in like my what's that called? Wizard of Legend video, like my little discussion on it. But aside from that, man, script writing is pretty hard. Like it's not like hyper difficult, right? But in terms of like time taken, mate, and like you have to record it as well again over the footage you already recorded. I know the works is pretty time taking, so I always admire when they make like works like this. Like I know it's pretty hard, bro. That's why I always like encouraged you guys to go over there and support the creator. Like this is really good work, you know. I'm just sitting here reacting to it mainly, so please go support them. They're awesome.
Turns out I was right. We got some new shit on the block.
Oh,
for you
shit.
here, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello to the
Why the fuck is he dancing like this? This is hilarious. Look at this shit, bro.
Whew, turns out I was right. We got some new shit on the block for you right here, ladies and gentlemen. Say hello to the backstab. A brand new evasive option.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow, that covers a lot of backward distance.
That can be activated after almost any attack in the Sword and Shield arsenal. By holding back on the left analog stick and pressing A, the hunter will jump backwards, allowing them to get clear of any close-range monster's attacks. The
Then
cool
come
thing
back
about
in.
this is that it
Oh,
can be followed
mate.
up with many options. First, a charge slash attack by holding the A button, which outputs a rather high amount of damage for the Sword and Shield. The combo also gets the upward slash finisher by pressing X after a charged strike. Upward slash, doesn't that mean you can immediately go into a combo afterward? Yup, and what's that? Damage output
Wow.
for my Sword and Shield? This can't be possible. Well, guess what, King?
No, wait, was that King from Tekken? What the fuck?
You're going to be destroying monsters with this weapon from Gen 4 onward, utterly obliterating them. It's
Oh my god, maybe I should try this. So, Man, in terms of elemental shit, right? This seems like a really good weapon to sustain damage. Then again, I might try the Anjanath dual blades. Those look pretty fucking cool.
It's almost unfair. Want to get right back into the fray after a backstep? Instead of holding A to charge, the hunter can perform a run-in attack similar to their draw attack to close the distance and get back into the fight as quickly as possible. Finally, is the monster advancing on you despite the backstep? Keep the aggression coming by backstepping and following up with an upward slash in place. The world is your oyster.
Wow.
Oh, did I mention this puppy has iframes? That's right. On top of giving sword
Oh
and shield,
my
everything
God.
every other weapon had at this point, they also built in an iframe dodge mechanic into it. Did they give iframes to the longsword fade slash? No, but they did give them to the sword and shield backstep. Time to start another petition. Your mobility options are gigantic now. There's nothing this weapon can't realistically do, and your only real drawback is requiring the right weapons for the right scenarios.
And your other drawback, I will say, is, well, this I've experienced, but probably sword and shield, I would say to a slightly greater degree, is let's aptly name it hit greed. When you have hit greed, bro, you're like, oh, I can hit the monster, I can hit the monster, I can hit it more, I can hit it more. Wait, I can hit it more. I don't need to dodge right now. I just need to hit it more, and then you get hit, which I would see like pretty. That would probably catch some players, like if they're using sword and shield.
Elemental
Otherwise, great weapon.
options are still incredibly important to this weapon type, more so than most others, but sword and shield make up for it with more and more mobility and utility with each release. But super rad, what about the jump attacks? Sit down, champ, I got you covered. You got your basic jump attack, boom, and yes, you can combo out of it, so
Fun.
go nuts. You know what else you got? Charge in attack off the ledge. Yeah, you saw that,
Oh,
right? It
yes.
sends you flying forward off the ledge for a quick slap.
Oh,
Can you
that's
combo out of
fun.
it? You betcha.
Oh,
Isn't that
yep.
dumb? Yes, it is.
Nah, dude, Gen 4 went crazy. Oh my god.
What's more dumb, though?
And normally you don't see this stuff. You're not gonna see this stuff. Like, I'm saying this as in, like, you don't really get to observe the changes. Not because, like, you weren't there. Like, sure, a big part of it is because I haven't played, bro, like, I just got here. I'm not gonna be playing Gen 4, right? And probably never will. So, like, seeing this stuff is awesome because you get to see how the weapons evolve. You know, they grow more into their identities and, how they are as weapons. This one is a high utility, high mobility, and generally really good baseline to lower damage area, but high defensive, like, maneuverability as well. It's really, again, it's almost like when you look at it from a super blurry outside perspective, it almost seems so balanced that it looks boring. It looks boring. I'll be so real. From a completely outside blurry perspective, that's what it looks like. But honestly, when you get into, like, the nooks and crannies of what it can do, man, this is amazing.
Attacking up a ledge. By charging towards a ledge
Oh my god, you can do that!
or pressing the A button while climbing up, you can perform a jumping upward slash maneuver. You're just going to be swinging this stump on a stick around
That's
willy-nilly
crazy.
the entire hunt, and guess what? It's gonna work because this weapon
Yeah.
is so open-ended in its options. Moving on, Monster
You can do it twice. Oh my god.
Hunter 4 wasn't the only game in this generation to bring a lot to the table. Just like every other weapon, Generations and Generations Ultimate introduced plenty of new mechanics, styles, and arts for Sword and Shield to make use of. And one
Okay.
very unique mechanic,
Talk to me nice.
oils. What are oils? They're a brand new mechanic that help diversify the options the hunter has in
Oh my god. Affinity oil. Bro, you can lace your sword. No way. Start sprint. Dude. Just start lacing your sword with Fent. I just I don't know why I said that, but I mean, hey, you're telling me you can, like, I mean, then again, it's oil. Never mind.
battle when it comes to how their weapon will act. When applying them, they'll last for 2 minutes and add a colored glow to the hunter's sword. But what are each of the oils and what do they do? Well, there's 4 in total, starting with the affinity oil that will add 30% affinity to the hunter's weapon for the duration of the effect. Next, there's
Amazing.
an exhaustion oil that not only deals more exhaust damage over time, but also KO damage when attacking a monster's head. Say goodbye to the
That
hammer
is
because
amazing.
we don't need it anymore. We're stubby boys now. Next up is Park Breaker Oil that makes it easier to break parts on a monster, and Mind's Eye Oil which prevents the hunter from bouncing off of them. Doesn't that sound nice on a weapon like the Sword and Shield that attacks rapidly? Sword Oils opened up the door for what was possible with the weapon and made it a true powerhouse in comparison to the other options out there. What many may still consider a beginner weapon with no depth.
See, this is what I'm saying, bro. This is what I love about this shit. They are making it so that each weapon grows into its own identity and has its own amazing strengths, to the point your problem is a pleasant problem for them, for you to have. Oh my god, all these weapons are like almost all of them are great. They're amazing and they have different uses. What do I want to use? And you almost come to this like huge crossroads where there's a bunch of paths, branching paths. Because like, bro, all of them are just so peak. They're so good, bro. And I know I'm glazing, but like, should it not be? It's amazing, bro. They've turned a simple sword and shield into such a high utility defensive weapon that can also output pretty decent damage and even higher so in elemental damage. To the point like you can't really just say, oh, lower raw damage value bad. But like, no, bro, it's really useful, man, as a weapon.
Was now arguably one of the most mechanically diverse weapons in the series.
Yeah, I'd say.
Surprisingly, this weapon was not one that focused on the Valor style released in Generations Ultimate. Instead, it was Guild and Striker styles that really shined, and we'll take a look at them both now.
Really?
Of course, Guild
Chaos
style
Oil.
is what you would expect from previous entries in the series. It focuses on keeping the weapon similar in moveset to what returning players have experienced already and allows for 2 arts to be applied at a given time. The reason people may choose Striker style over Guild is due to how powerful the art selection is for this weapon, and being able to equip 3 arts at a time that charge faster than normal really gives you a boost within a fight. The main aspect you lose in Striker style is the backstep maneuver, which is a popular option amongst Sword and Shield mains, so let's see what the best arts are and what they do that's so appealing. First, and arguably the most important art is Chaos Oil, which was introduced in Generations Ultimate. This is seriously a bonkers ability and one every Sword and Shield hunter should be using. Remember all the oils I mentioned before? Well, this ability will apply each of their effects at one time for a given duration.
Oh my god! What the fuck?
Tier 1 and Tier 2 of this art have the ability to be a bit weaker than if you just used the oil by itself, but Tier 3 offers the full effects of each oil. On top of all of this, you get extended duration with Tier 2, but a shorter duration with Tier 3 to balance it out. You also have the ability to stack an additional manual oil to boost the effect further. It even applies faster while the art is activated. Imagine activating Chaos Oil 3 and applying Affinity Oil for a 60% affinity boost without...
Hello? Oh my god! 60% affinity! Biggest I've seen is 15, bruv. What the fuck?
Any armor skills. Good luck getting that 3rd tier though, as it's locked behind a Hyper Golden and Silver Los quest that will have you pulling your hair out for weeks on end. Round Force is the other major inclusion, essentially making you invincible during its animation. It's a spinning attack with a wide range and deals high damage, making it useful for keeping up DPS against particularly aggressive monsters. I've been told this is a contested statement, but the main portion of your damage output can come from this ability, and you can really cripple yourself as a Sword and Shield main by not utilizing it. If I didn't mention a particular style or art that you use within this section, I apologize, but these were the most effective and heavily utilized of the group and deserved the main focus within this video. Next, we'll move on to Generation 5 and see what World, Iceborne, and Rise bring to the Sword and Shield table.
Oh yeah. Alright. Talk to me nice. What's going on?
So to get this out of the way, similar to how the hammer can slide down slopes while charging, the Sword and Shield can perform an advancing slash on a slope and begin the sliding animation with their weapon out. This allows them to guard while sliding, which is a nice little inclusion, but you'll most likely be using it to perform jumping slashes, so whether your weapon is out or not doesn't really matter. There is a new Helmbreaker move, however, which will output multiple—
Wait, still! If you're charging, you'll probably not get interrupted. Oh my god. See, utility wise, bro, this is up there. Seriously, this is so up there, it's kind of unbelievable. Bro, mind you, this is only going off of like sheer utility. right? And it's not competing like, oh, I got the highest roll damage, I got this, I got that. Not really. It's got its strengths. It's got like it's already showed off. Like it can pack quite a punch. The chaos oils that we just saw, and now it, from what I'm seeing so far, well, we haven't let him explain yet, but already really useful. Sliding while shielding, you're traveling faster and probably won't get interrupted. Already great.
Hits on the way down and can be performed by using the advancing slash into a runnable wall. There's a few new moves added as well, namely the spiral slash, which is activated during any combo by pressing triangle in a direction. The hunter will face the direction selected and quickly swing their sword toward it. This move can be followed up with a quick thrusting motion for decent damage.
That's really good. It's hard on some weapons, like mainly mine, right? It's a bit harder to turn. You can turn, yes, but to a certain degree, and some of, like, let's say if a monster's almost behind you, you would have, and then you want to keep a combo going, but you have a charge you don't want to waste, you'd have to perform like a fucking like strong charged slash that's like not a strong charged slash, but like a sweeping one.
Damage, or many of the other moves in the Sword and Shield arsenal. Then there's the hard bash, which can be performed by continuing through the shield bash combo with the circle button. The ability to weave all these moves together begins to give the Sword and Shield true infinite, needing the available, meaning the uptime of damage has increased significantly.
You're on
in
some
World.
crazy.
The backstep's charge mechanic has been updated slightly as well. Now, if the attack connects, the hunter will automatically perform the scaling slash and launch themselves into the air. From here, they can choose between the aerial jumping slash or a new falling bash attack that uses the
This is not. See, we're getting into absurd territory. Oh my god.
The shield. Also, by performing the power combos or shield combos and pressing circle afterward, you could automatically enter the backstep stance. Funny enough, this weapon could use the slinger without the weapon unsheathed before Iceborne. So at the time.
See, this is nah. Holy utility, bro.
Time of writing,
I mean, come on.
I'm pretty curious what it got in the expansion to make up for that. Luckily, we're going to move on to Iceborne right now.
Great.
The main additions to every weapon in Iceborne are the Slinger Burst and Clutch Claw mechanics. Sword and Shield specifically get the ability to press L2 after an evasive roll to perform a launching uppercut attack with the Clutch Claw out. If it connects, the hunter automatically grapples to the monster. This is advantageous due to it not only being an incredibly quick way to grapple onto the monster, but makes it so that it only takes one Clutch Claw attack afterwards to tenderize. Now, Slinger Burst functions slightly different in comparison to the other weapons, due to the fact that the Sword and Shield can already use the Slinger with the weapon unsheathed. By pressing R3, you can change the mode the Slinger is in. If you want to use it normally, keep it in the default mode, but if you want the ability to use the Slinger Burst, switch it, and it will be a burst every time. No combo starter needed. Now, that's not all the weapon has to offer. There's a brand new mechanic introduced in Iceborne for the Sword and Shield, as if it didn't have enough going for it already.
Bro, this is, oh my god. Dude, this is such a versatile weapon, it's absurd. This is, see how it evolves into like its own identity as a weapon. It's great. It's absurd, but it's not like calling every weapon absurd. Like, are they absurd? Yes, but in their own way. Greatsword has amazing severing damage. It's a cleaver of sorts. Hammer, amazing bludgeoning and knockout damage. Very heavy hitting. You go shit like the dual blades, which is essentially high mobility, high aggression as well. For you have to get this fucking whole demon mode, right? You can't tell it's not promoting like literal aggression in the battlefield. Fair enough, right? Fair enough. Along with what else? You also have the switch axe, which, honestly, on its own, what I'm seeing is like it promotes consistent damage buildup. What the fuck? Hi. It promotes consistent damage. Sorry, it was my cat. It promotes consistent damage buildup to the point you can unlock this like much higher consistency. In terms of not much higher consistency, much higher damage at the same consistency when you build up enough like charge for your files. It's really cool, bro.
I'm talking about the Perfect Rush combo, and honestly, wow, it's insane. The move is activated by pressing the triangle after either a backstep or a Slinger Burst, and seems to be designed to promote appropriate timing of button presses. As the hunter performs the combo, well-timed button presses will reward additional raw damage, elemental damage, and status effects, making it incredibly useful for big openings on whatever you're hunting. Moving on to Rise, the Infinite from the previous entry has been reworked slightly. Now inputting a round slash at the end of a combo will perform the spinning Reaper move and is essentially the same mechanic as seen in World, but with higher emotion values. This is done via X and A rather than the directional input. The other main mechanical changes are how Perfect Rush functions, as it can finish the combo in two ways. First, by performing the combo regularly, the hunter will now be launched off of the monster and into the air. This is the same animation we see when performing a scaling slash in World. If you'd rather not commit to a launch, you can instead press A to perform a round slash, which is quicker and doesn't send you into the air. Additionally, a guard point counter has been added to the guard slash maneuver, meaning well-timed attacks will automatically block monster advances and
that's good.
Perfect Rush. On to Silkbind moves, the first is Falling Shadow, and I feel like this is a running theme at this point as it mostly functions as a gap closer to stay near the monster. If you connect with the monster, you go into a scaling slash, which lets you perform your typical finishers. Now, the Windmill Silkbind attack is great. It's like Round Force, which I talked about previously from Generations, and continues to have iframes at the start of the animation, making it perfect for evading an initial attack and then slaughtering the monster with high damage. I love it. It's perfect, it makes sense as an inclusion, and complements the weapon.
Wait, let me see that again. Oh my god, and run back the explanation a little bit.
It mostly functions as a gap closer to stay near the monster. If you connect with the monster, you go into a scaling slash, which lets you perform your typical finishers. Now, the Windmill Silkbind attack is great. It's like Round Force, which I talked about previously from Generations, and continues to have iframes at the start of the animation, making it perfect for evading an initial attack and then slaughtering the monster with high damage. I love it.
Amazing.
It's perfect, it makes sense as an inclusion, and complements the weapon greatly. Good job, Capcom. While Windmill is a nice addition,
Capcom, you were doing work! Oh my god!
Can be swapped out with Metsu Shoryu Geki, which was another ability seen within Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. The hunter will jump to uppercut the target before being able to
Metsu Shoryu. See, the Street Fighter in me, bro. Oh my god.
land with a falling bash or plunging thrust.
I
I believe that while Windmill is a great option, Shoryugeki ends up trumping it overall. For switch skills, the hard basher combo used via the A button after a shield bash can be swapped with the drill slash combo, which will thrust the sword into the monster before performing an attack that has a multi-hit property. While it's a good option for elemental or status builds, the normal hard basher seems better for raw damage sets. Advancing slash can be swapped out with the new sliding slash, but outside of gap closing properties, I don't really know what you would use it for. That being said, it performs 2 hits and can be followed up with the jumping slash. That's all I really have on Rise. One thing I can mention is that the ability to simply hold A after a power charge combo for an automatic back step has been removed and instead now forces the player to hold back on the analog stick similar to a traditional back step. If I haven't made it clear throughout the majority of this video, the sword and shield is not what you expect from a first glance.
Honestly, yes.
Even today, the weapons...
you just saw it happen with me psychologically. I was like, at first, I was like, you know, from a, like, because I had no fucking idea. I was like, okay, it looks kind of generic. Like, the designs are, of course, as usual, the designs are, you can say they're pretty rad, right? Well, like, generally, that's just how Monster Hunter weapon designs are. They're pretty fucking cool. But, what I'm expecting here is mechanics. Mechanics, I never thought it would be so versatile and useful, man. It's insane! Oh my god! I was like, what could this possibly offer? Right, what could, like, other than defense, because you have a literal shield, like, yes, amazing. Right, what else could it offer? And oh my god, it offers so much utility, movement, and versatility in combat. Because of how fast you can move and you can consume things while you have your weapon sheathed. Well, not while you have your weapon, while you have it out. It's, come on, man! God.
Seems to not be given the credit it's due. It's truly a jack of all trades and master of some, really offering almost every major utility mechanic other weapons focus on while bringing many of its own unique mechanics to the table. On top of that, it has high mobility and ways to utilize its elemental advantages to become truly monstrous in the amount of damage it can output. Anyway, that's all I have for you today in regards to the sword and shield.
Great. Wait, charge blade? I thought you bow. Oh wait, okay. We have. Oh, that was two. Hammer, sword, and shield. Oh my! Why do I feel like there was something in between? Oh my god! I must be tripping. Then, bro. Oh my god. Yo, Sparky, if you're seeing this video, I tried, bro. I genuinely tried to post it at like afternoon. I'm so sorry. This is like a 2 hour video. Or 3 hour. It could be 3 hours. I let it go by a little quicker and not yap as much. But I can't. I'm super enthusiastic about stuff like this.
Okay, so what I basically understand about this weapon going in is that it's the switch axe mixed with sword and shield, and if we've learned anything from those two videos, it's that shit is busted. Incredibly busted. So is the charge blade going to be the same? Does the comparison even fit this weapon? Probably not. This is a weapon that showed up first in Generation 4 alongside the Insect Glaive, making it pretty new in terms of weapons to be released in the series. A lot of people expressed that this weapon video would probably be shorter due to this fact, and I'm imagining the same. But there's still a lot of depth and nuance to the charge blade to discuss, and even its development between Monster Hunter 4 and 4 Ultimate saw major changes.
Talk to me
I'm
nice.
still waiting to get my family back from YouTube. Susan has been sending me weird videos of a gun to my kid's head. It's really messed up. I'm not happy about it.
Crazy.
Please feel free to support me and support my channel. It's really appreciated. In the meantime, I'm SuperRAD, and this is the history of the charge blade.
Alright. The charge blade is, honestly, man, look. Where else are you getting this concept? Seriously, man. You stick your shield into, like, onto your sword, and then you get this big ass axe. Dog, where else are you seeing this concept? I'm sorry. This shit is original, bro.
Introduced in the Japanese exclusive Monster Hunter 4 for the Nintendo 3DS, the Charge Blade, also known as the Charge Axe in Japan, even though you'll only really be using the axe to blow up monsters with finishers, was an interesting inclusion due to its general flair and ridiculousness, similar to the Switch Axe from Monster Hunter Tri. It's a weapon that may get compared to Switch Axe or Sword and Shield regularly, but has many unique mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, like, because they look... Okay, look, it's mainly down to looks, man. They look the same. When you okay, when you boil it down to looks, bro, it looks like a sword and shield, and then when it switches to that axe, it looks like a switch axe. So come on.
Make it not only stand out from the rest of the possible weapon selections, but also make it incredibly effective and satisfying to use. To start off on the basic attack and functionality, there's a draw attack that launches the hunter forward into a slash, and this move can be performed while unsheathed by pressing X plus A at the same time. Pressing the X button while unsheathed performs a traditional slash, and this can be comboed up to 3 times, similar to the Sword and Shield. Unlike Sword and Shield, Charge Blade can perform a sidestep after any of the attacks in this combo for quick repositioning without the long rolling evade animation, making it very useful for moving around.
What's this little guy here?
Without the long rolling
evade animation. That's definitely a crustacean. Oh my god, my voice cracked, bro. I'm losing it today. Maybe because I did record like a 2-hour video. I was reacting it as well. That's definitely a crustacean, bro. Look at it. Oh, that's cute.
Very useful for moving around.
Sorry, I got distracted. Oh my god, that's very cute.
Around a monster while keeping up time. To briefly mention the shield, the R button allows hunters to block at the cost of stamina and mitigated damage. If attacked while guarding, hunters can cancel out of the end frames of the animation, either with an evade or attack, making it great for countering monster advances. The A button will perform an upward slash and can be held down and charged to perform a double slash attack with super armor. This move can also be followed up with a round slash finisher, and the entire charge combo can be repeated indefinitely. Hunters can even sidestep after the initial 2 slashes and then still follow up with the round slash, making mobility a large factor for this weapon. Players can press R and X at the same time to activate an attack that switches into axe mode, which comes with its own moveset and unique abilities. It's a much slower option, but comes with the benefit of increased damage. Pressing a direction and X at the same time will perform the same morphing attack, but keep the weapon in axe mode. This form has its own dedicated infinite with the X button that will start with a high-reaching upward swing, perfect for attacking tall monsters, and finish with a downward slash. Rinse and repeat for easy damage. Alternatively, the player can press the R button during a combo in either form in order to perform a morphing attack that will switch their stances. This can also be done infinitely and allows for easy switching mid-combo. Pressing A will perform a quick chopping slash, and pressing A again in the combo will perform a large swinging attack with a long animation. This second attack can also be performed after moves like forward slam, adding to its versatility. Now there's a final attack in this combo, and using it will automatically switch from axe mode back to sword mode. The damage and effectiveness of this move and all the moves mapped to the A button in axe mode are dependent on files, which we'll get into shortly, and you'll never really be using them unless you have them charged up and ready to be unleashed. However, it's important to note that many of the moves in sword mode can morph you into axe mode and either perform the second part of the elemental discharge combo or put you right into the finisher. For terminology we'll use throughout the video, the first hit of the A combo is elemental discharge 1, then elemental discharge 2, and finally amped elemental discharge for the finisher. So what are files and how do they relate to the weapon and its effectiveness? If you look under the sharpness gauge, you'll notice that there are 5 identical icons. These are the weapon's files and are used in conjunction with elemental discharge for extra damage. You first need to charge up the files by attacking monsters. As I mentioned previously, attacking with the charge double slash will make this go faster. Soon your files will glow yellow, signaling that it is possible to hold the R button and press A to load 3 out of 5 files. This can be charged further from yellow to red, and then when loading, the hunter will get a full 5 files. You need to be careful when charging, however. If you don't load the built-up charge into the files, whether they're full or not, the weapon will overheat and begin to bounce off of the monster in sword mode. These files come in 2 categories, impact and elemental. Impact files will offer a damage boost and also perform KO damage while using discharge attacks. The elemental files will offer specific elemental damage depending on the weapon. Elemental files are generally more beneficial when the monster is exceptionally weak to a specific element. If the weakness is mostly on one part of the body, like Yan Garuga, players will generally spam AED, but if they're weak all over, SAED would be a better option. And we'll discuss the SAED inclusion in Monster Hunter 4U shortly. It's more efficient. Impact files are better for
my brain is hardly working in this section, bro.
When a monster has hit zones, typically the head, that are particularly weak to raw damage, due to the usually higher raw on an impact charge blade and the benefits of KO damage. Impact files ignore hit zones, making them particularly useful when performing the super amped elemental discharge ability that we're going to go over shortly. Just keep it in the back of your head. I know I'm already talking about it. It's not even in this game yet. Jumping attacks are pretty self-explanatory. You can either perform a normal aerial attack based on which form you are currently in, or perform an aerial morphing attack to switch forms on the fly. There's one final topic to mention within the weapon's inclusion, and that's the mechanic of guard points, which will allow the hunter to automatically guard under specific circumstances. There are multiple moves in the arsenal where, for a brief window of time, the shield will automatically guard an attack. This is different from super armor, which lets you keep attacking while taking damage, and instead will physically block an attack and send the hunter back with the blocking animation. This state would be active at the end of the sword round slash and at the start of the morphing attack from sword to axe. Guard points also have increased guard strength over traditional guards, making them even more beneficial. Now, I feel like I've mentioned a lot about this weapon so far. We've discussed its core mechanics when it comes to sword mode and axe mode, the ability to load and charge files, how files work, and the elemental discharge abilities. We've even talked about guard points. On paper, it sounds like a lot, especially for the first inclusion of the weapon, but believe it or not, playing the weapon is actually fairly simplistic, and these mechanics are pretty bare bones when put to use. So much so that the weapon received an extensive amount of additions in the 4 Ultimate release.
Oh, that'd be nice.
So Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate gets released and Western players finally get to experience what Japanese players already had, but with multiple upgrades. Not only did Ultimate add in new and returning monsters, new weapons, and G-Rank, but it also reworked or built upon some weapons from previous entries, the most obvious and noticeable being Charge Blade. A lot of Western players never would have experienced the original Monster Hunter 4 due to it only being released in Japan, and would never realize that a lot of the features they have come to know and expect from Charge Blade never existed in its original inclusion.
That's
Arguably
insane.
the biggest addition is the ability to charge your shield. When you're about to unleash the final elemental discharge attack, amped elemental discharge, you can instead press the R button to cancel out of the animation, morph back into sword form, and transfer the energy directly into your shield.
Oh my
If
god.
done successfully, a new red shield icon will appear to the right of the sharpness gauge.
Whoa.
The length of the effect is dependent on how many files you had while activating it. If you have all 5 filled, the length will be at its longest duration. duration. At some point during the duration, the shield will change from red to yellow to signify it's running out.
Okay.
The first notable effect is that your shield will begin to glow red, and the guarding will become enhanced.
But what does it do?
Similar to Lance. The blocking animation will be shorter, the hunter will barely move backward, and they can begin attacking again incredibly quickly. However, this is still based on the power of the attack that they are blocking. Some attacks are so strong that they will knock you back regardless of if you're in normal shield state or charge state. The big issue with the charge blade in Monster Hunter 4 was that there was virtually no reason to use the axe mode unless you were specifically using it to finish a combo with the discharge attacks. It was incredibly slow and clunky, and the higher damage didn't really make up for that. So how did Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate try to remedy this? Well, switching into axe mode after charging your shield would cause the entire weapon to glow, and all axe attacks will get a boost to damage, making it much more viable when an opening presents itself. Even better, there's an upgraded elemental discharge finisher known as Ultra Amped Elemental Discharge or Super Amped Elemental Discharge. See, I told you we would get to it eventually. Just it took a while. This replaces the normal finisher and will use up all files and kick the hunter out of the charged shield state. It's incredibly powerful and especially useful when using impact files to unload KO damage. If you don't want to use up all of your files and lose your charged state, you can still perform a normal AED by holding back on the analog stick and pressing X as the attack begins. Guard points return, and utilizing them when in charged shield mode will automatically file burst, leading to extra damage. Again, especially useful for impact files. On top of that, if your files are charged yellow, you automatically get guard +1 and guard +2 if they're charged red, essentially turning your auto guards into counterattacks if utilized properly.
Holy shit.
This entry is a move called Shield Thrust that functions as a follow-up attack to any of your traditional options while in sword mode. For example, I can press X to start my combo and follow up with the Shield Thrust, then move into any other combo and Shield Thrust at any point again. This opens up the offensive options and infinites for the charge blade, but the functionality doesn't stop there. Using this move while you're in the red shield charge state will allow you to output file damage while in sword mode, meaning not only do you have an infinite, but you're also outputting high KO damage regularly. You'll mostly be using this to easily enter into AED or SAED, as it can immediately combo into them. That's about it for Monster Hunter 4 and 4 Ultimate. But the changes don't stop there. While there may not be many mechanical changes to the base of the weapon in Generations or Generations Ultimate, we should still take a look at the most popular styles and arts used within those entries of the series.
Of course, yeah. I forgot they had that for a moment.
Before I discuss styles and arts, it's important to point out some minor mechanical changes to the charge blade from 4U to Generations, mostly just that it's now possible to enter yellow shield charge by pressing X+A during a shield thrust instead of gaining red. You also don't enter the yellow state when running out of time like you did in 4U. However, this is weaker than your normal red shield charge, and from what I understand is almost never used. Quick charge also no longer goes into SAED, with AED still being possible, but that's okay because both AED and SAED received big nerfs. SAED so much so that it's relatively useless and almost never utilized in this game, and for people that are using the charge blade right now, I know that sounds insane, but bear with me. Also, guard points are never really used for counterattacking anymore. Instead, your animation will just continue after the guard connects. So why is SAED never used? Because the most viable style for this weapon is generally Striker, and Striker removes the ability to shield thrust, and therefore the ability to instantly use AED or SAED in order to provide two things. First, when in the red shield charge state, you'll gain a 20% boost to all axe attacks instead of the 15% boost all other styles receive. I believe this matches up with 4U, which apparently also offered this 20% boost, so overall it was nerfed, but Striker retained the original buff. Next, like all weapons, you get access to 3 arts that charge faster than if you were utilizing other styles. Generally, the players will fill the first 2 slots with something like Absolute Readiness and Evasion, and then the only actual charge blade specific art that's worth using is the Ripper Shield ability, which was introduced in Ultimate specifically, so I actually don't know what Gen players were doing back then. I assume using one of the other abilities. The Ripper Shield ability is a multi-hit buzzsaw attack that quickly builds and allows the hunter to perform a shield charge by pressing the R button after the initial attack. They can then
Wow.
combo out of this as they see fit. It's high damage and leads to full files with the higher tiers, making it one of the best arts to use on this weapon, and realistically the only
That's some
one you're
pizza
really
cutter
gonna
shit, bro.
utilize. While I don't plan to go over each style and each art, I can point out that the aerial style actually received a bit of a utility boost between Gen and Gen Ultimate. Originally in
Really?
Generation's first release, the weapon could only perform an SAED in the air, and as pointed out, it's been nerfed so much to the point that you're worse off using it than not. Generation's Ultimate
Sure.
fixed this by
Yeah.
allowing hunters to use either the AED or SAED when in the air. With all that out of the way, we can finally move on to Generation 5 and see how the charge blade began to change between World, Iceborne, and Monster Hunter Rise.
Talk to me nice, bro.
Alright, so what's new in World? First of all, there's a new move that allows you to perform a sliding slash by holding a direction with the left analog stick and pressing
Ooh,
circle.
okay.
The hunter will
Oh
slide.
my! That was sexy. Wait. Dude, I love like the art of motion and animation, bro. It's so
A
cool,
sliding
man.
slash by holding a
Look
direction
at that
with the left
shit.
analog stick and pressing circle.
Oh
The hunter will
my-
slide in said
Oh
direction
my
and finish the
goodness.
animation with a slashing attack. The next new move
Bro.
is the condensed elemental slash. While filling or charging files specifically, the hunter can press and hold the triangle button to charge a new slashing
Damn.
attack that crashes downward. Just like the normal charge slash, this can be overcharged, so make sure you time it
Okay.
appropriately. Now the cool thing about this is that your sword stays charged and you'll actually output file damage while it's in this state, and you gain the effects of Mind's Eye. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That's
to
insane.
further buff this weapon, while SAED still eats up all of your stored files, it won't automatically knock you out of the shield charge state, meaning it's only a timed based duration now, and you can keep all beneficial effects of the charge until it runs out. This heavily
Great.
increases damage uptime overall. Sliding attacks are what you'd expect. You can attack out of a slide to
Yeah,
perform an aerial
as usual.
slashing maneuver, and you can even forward slash to begin a slide with your weapon out, similar to the sword and shield that I mentioned in my previous video. You can even forward slash into a runnable wall just like the sword and shield, but you don't get a special
Holy.
ability like the Helmbreaker, so I'm not completely
Nah,
sure
fair
why you
enough.
would do that. There's probably a reason. But what about Iceborne? Well, the biggest addition is the Savage Axe Slash. Right before an amped elemental discharge or a super amped elemental discharge, a hunter can press L2 to cancel out of the animation and perform a new move that will buff the axe form significantly.
Holy
it
shit.
requires filled files to be used as it will drain them over time, but it
Okay.
makes up for this by turning the axe mode into a walking buzzsaw, similar
Oh
to the
my
Shield art
days.
from Generation's Ultimate. All axe mode attacks can
Look
deal
at
extra
that.
hits and
Holy
damage.
shit.
Elemental discharge attacks will still drain files like normal, and once completely emptied, the new form will deactivate. Obviously, this is most useful when everything the weapon has to offer is activated, so shield charge, axe charge, and full files. It's important to note that the type of file being used determines the time it takes to drain. Elemental files will last longer than impact files overall, and this is more noticeable when using skills
Fair.
like Power Prolonger 3. This move also
I mean, elemental is more like, oh, you're inflicting something and whatever happens, right? But with impact files, you're like, most of it, like, well, deriving from name, most of its uses is per impact.
buffs the axe's motion values, but motion values were already nerfed between World and Iceborne, so while it's beneficial to use Savage Axe, you shouldn't expect insane numbers coming out of World. Like all other weapons, the Charged Blade can perform a Slinger Burst while the weapon is unsheathed. You do this by activating the Slinger after a successful guard, and it can be comboed out of either with a sword attack or by shifting immediately into
Crazy.
Elemental Discharge 2. Finally, we can move on to Monster Hunter Rise
Hey,
and see what
MHR.
has been reworked, added, or removed. I did have it pointed out to me that certain moves have been adjusted ever so slightly, like the file damage from SAED having lower hitboxes and making it difficult to hit the head of a Rathian as an example, but it was hard for me to test something like that, so I can't completely verify
Yeah.
this information. We'll start with Morphing Advance, which launches you forward and morphs your weapon from sword form to axe form if not already utilizing the axe form. It has super armor and you can combo out of it, so it seems great for closing closing distance and keeping the pressure on. Honestly, closing distance is more important than I give it credit. A lot of people pointed out that one of the
it really
attacks I
is.
didn't understand the utility of was actually very good for this. This move readies you for an AED or SAED, so it's very good at positioning you when all of your files are filled. Next is counter peak performance, which acts as a dedicated guard point maneuver. The crazy thing about this move is that not only do you not take damage, but if a monster hits you, all of your empty files will be filled at once. And on top of that,
what the fuck?
only costs one wire bug to utilize, meaning it is very easy to consistently and repeatedly use this ability to fill up files without the need to combo and charge manually. Luckily, manually charging still has its benefits as it's necessary for sword and shield charging. Next is Axe Hop, which can be swapped out with counter performance. It allows the hunter to slam their weapon down in axe form before being launched into the air and allows for a mid-air elemental discharge. For switch skills, Morph Slash can be swapped out for Counter Morph Slash, which removes the guard point when morphing from sword mode to axe mode, but offers an instant extended guard point when switching from axe to sword mode. The downside is that the animation is longer but can be bypassed by morphing via other attacks. The upside is that a successful guard allows for a follow-up morph attack or an elemental discharge that will be stronger than normal. Condensed Element Slash can be swapped out with Condensed Spinning Slash, which I believe is similar to the Savage Axe form from Monster Hunter World Iceborne. In the original version of this video, we didn't know if Savage Axe was even coming back, so it's good to see its inclusion here. Players can hold the attack button during certain moves to extend how many hits are produced, and the buff will last.
Oh my god, no wonder their shields are so spiky and shit. You're literally holding a buzzsaw as a shield.
Until the hunter exits axe mode. And that's it for the Charge Blade and Rise in Generation 5.
Okay.
Honestly, going in, I didn't know what to think about the Charge Blade. It's a weapon released in the 4th generation, one of the newest weapons released in Monster Hunter, so I didn't think it would have a lot of...
It was kind of this like fucking love child of switch axe and sword and shield, so yeah, honestly, I don't know what to think of it. Is it cool? Oh my god, honestly, yes. Although, please, they need to keep that buzzsaw shit going, because that is the one thing I found that's like extremely distinct, like from Sword and Shield and the files and not Sword Axe, sorry, what's it called? Switch Axe. There you go. It's like they both have files, bro, but what I like about it is, like, other than the different file system it's using, bro, it's a pizza cutter, bro. It's literally a pizza cutter.
Mechanical history or changes to go over. While the switch from World to Rise didn't add or remove much, the changes from 4 to 4U alone were simply massive. And a weapon that was actually overly simplistic in 4 turned into an intricate powerhouse that requires hunters to heavily utilize resource management efficiently to be effective with. It's a very engaging weapon, and one I highly recommend you give a chance going forward if you haven't tried it.
Or if you're in MH Rise, one wire bug.
Already. Anyway, that's all I have for you today in regards to the Charge Blade.
Here come with the bow. Okay. Well, I'm not a fan of not a fan. Well, I don't prefer ranged weapons, but could I be a fan of it? Oh yes, absolutely.
Hey everyone, did you know that there's another weapon class besides the Blade Master in Monster Hunter called Gunner? I didn't. I mean, to be fair, I didn't even know there were other weapons past Longsword. This series has been really eye-opening for me. On top of melee-focused weapons, there exists ranged weaponry, including the bow, light bowgun, medium bowgun, and heavy bowgun. Today we'll be focusing on the first I listed, the bow, and seeing when the weapon appeared in the series, as well as what it brought to Monster Hunter overall. You might be surprised on its impact and effectiveness, especially with the Kelby bow. A versatile and agile weapon that allows you to attack from the comfort of a safe distance. The bow brings a lot to the table, and we're going to explore that today in this history video. So buckle up, lads, because we're about to explore ranged weapons in Monster Hunter for the first time on this channel. I hope you're ready, because I'm certainly not. I know nothing about this going in. I'm honestly sweating. It's hot in here.
I don't got shit. I don't know nothing about bows and like I know what a bow is, but you know, I don't know how it functions, bro. Like yeah, I know the coatings and stuff. I saw it in the crafting list, but hey,
here. Anyway, I'm SuperRAD, and this is the history of the bow.
all right. Holy, was that iframes?
Originally released in Monster Hunter DOS, the bow was a weapon that heavily promoted skilled play, and yeah, most weapons do that, but the bow is designed with the skilled hunter in mind. It's tactical, versatile, and fast. Very fast. You're going to be attacking and repositioning constantly with this bad boy, and if you get really good at it, you could be cheesing monsters easily through the various generations of Monster Hunter. For the sake of making my life and editing this easier, all Gen 2 footage will be shown through Freedom Unite. But again, the weapon has existed since DOS and made appearances in all games leading up to Generation 5. Except for Try, which made the odd decision to remove multiple weapons for that specific entry, only to have them return in 3 Ultimate. First, let's talk about basic mechanics and moves. Since this is a ranged weapon, you're not going to be getting up close and personal with monsters this time around. Instead, you'll unsheath your weapon and press triangle to shoot out an arrow. However, if unsheathing while moving, you will automatically knock an arrow into the bow, meaning you're still technically performing a draw action, even if not attacking right away. Unlike some other ranged weapons that have limited ammo, the bow comes with unlimited arrows, meaning you'll be stocked up in any situation. Holding triangle will allow you to charge the shot to multiple levels, and each level will produce more damage against the monster. Similar to hammer, you can move around while doing this. There's an uncharged state, also known as charge level 1, then charge level 2, and finally charge level 3 for most bows. See, in Monster Hunter Freedom 2, a 4th level was added to some bows, and this would continue into future generations. Keep in mind that it drains stamina, so you should be lining up your shots efficiently, otherwise you may find yourself firing off shots preemptively. Stamina management is especially crucial, considering you won't be able to fully charge your attacks if your stamina is too low. Now, Circle is going to perform melee attacks, but you'll never be using this. At least as far as I can see in Generation 2, it's effectively useless, and considering you're a bow user fighting a giant monster, it's incredibly ineffective to try and utilize. For the sake of being as detailed as possible, you can combo this move by attacking 2 times. You can draw attack into this. But again, you'll probably never be doing this, so best to push it to the back of your mind for now. Next, the weapon has a dedicated backup maneuver when unsheathed that uses up stamina. This can be used for simple evasion, but can also be used to cancel out of a charged shot without attacking. Further on is the aiming mechanic. By holding R, you'll go into an over-the-shoulder view that produces a trajectory line that helps signify where the arrow will land if shot. By charging your shot,
well, that's kind of cool.
You'd think you'd be applying more velocity to the arrow when fired. However, it seems like the trajectory line doesn't take this into account at all, and your shots will follow the same trajectory regardless of the level of charge. Additionally, the time at which the arrows hit within their trajectory seems to determine how much damage will be dealt, and is shown visually through the sparks that appear when colliding with the monster. This means bow users have to properly space out their attacks for optimal and efficient damage. Moving on, we have the types of shots available that vary from bow to bow. There's 3 main types, including scatter, rapid, and pierce. Scatter shots shoot in a horizontal line and range from 2 to 5 arrows. The closer the arrows are to the middle of the spread when fired, the more powerful they'll be. Similar to scatter, rapid fire in a vertical stack, and the arrows spread out more as they fall in their trajectory. These arrows are strongest when they are at the top of their trajectory and weaken as they fall. Finally, pierce arrows will fire a single arrow, but it will deal multiple hits upon connecting with the monster. The number of hits, arrows, and damage for these
the piercing is cool. I like that stuff. I mean, I've seen like a piercing pod, so I've seen what piercing shit can do, bro. It's pretty cool.
Different types is dependent on the shot level assigned to the weapon, and the type of shot and the type of level is dependent on the bow and charge level they get assigned to. I know that sounded...
God, my brain. SuperRAD, my brain. My brain, please.
Confusing, but for example, some bows might have charge level 1 and 2 be assigned to rapid level 1, and only charge level 3 will produce rapid level 2. Maybe charge...
my brain, please. Okay, I'm kind of getting it. some bows will have a higher level but less charge, but some bows will. Is that correct?
Charge level 1 is Spread 1, and charge level 3 is Pierce 5. One more note on the different shot types is that they can each individually range from levels 1 to 5, with 5 being the most effective. Finally, we have the weapon's other big mechanic, coatings, which are used to provide additional
that I'm
utility
pretty
to the
familiar
weapon.
with.
With one of the coatings selected while out on a hunt, the player can press triangle and circle to apply one onto their weapon. By using your arrow while it has a coating applied, it will begin to deplete the total amount of coatings you brought with you, each type having its own maximum amount to be able to be brought along. So what are the various types? We'll start with the power coating, which provides additional attack power or damage to each shot. This is effective with most of the bow types as they fire multiple arrows, and it also allows you to bring a total of 50 coats, meaning you can unload a large amount of damage throughout the hunt. Next is close range coating, which changes the distance in which optimal damage will be applied to arrows when they connect with the monster. I don't think this actually became useful until its rework in Generation 5, maybe Generation 4, so keep that in the back of your mind for now. Next are the status coatings, like poison, paralysis, or sleep. Each of these have the ability of applying their dedicated ailment to the monster. Something to
probably a lot less coatings this time
note
around.
Is that melee attacks don't actually expend applied coats in your pouch, meaning if you really wanted to, you could melee a monster until the ailment applied and you wouldn't use up any additional coats.
Okay, that might be good. I mean, honestly, I'd do it if I was in the sort of group and I wanted to deal additional damage. But then again, you can just charge your bow up close and just have all the arrows hit. Why even? There's like no incentives for this shit, bro. I'll be so real.
In the process. Paint coating also exists, but there's no real reason.
Then again, you will use up one coating, but like, at that point, mate, who gives a fuck? It's one... Dog, it's one coating. Or like even not even like an entire coating, mind you. Probably like half or whatever.
Reason to use this since it's very easy to bring paintballs along with you. Like very, very easy. Why would you even bring paint coatings? Something important to note about coatings is that bows would only allow you to apply specific coats, usually limiting you on your selection in some capacity. For example, maybe your bow would let you use power coating, but not paralysis or sleep coating for some reason. Finally, certain bows can be boosted by certain coatings, and this is different on a bow by bow basis. When the coating type is outlined in green, it means that applying that coating to your bow will offer a boosted effect on top of the normal ones. For example, status coatings will boost their ailment effect with each hit. However, this changes later on in Generations and Gen Ultimate to simply being a damage boost. Now, I know that's a lot to take in. Generation 2 added a lot with the bow, and it really is a weapon that already promoted skilled play and proper positioning.
And proper preparation.
Don't think you can rest yet. It's time to move on to Generation 3 and see what was added in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd and 3 Ultimate.
Talk to me nice, bro. My poor brain, bro. Gen 2 bow is crazy. Is this Gen 2 or am I tripping? These musics are so nostalgic, bro. I don't know, there's something about them.
As I mentioned earlier, Monster Hunter Tri removed several weapons from the entry and even locked some weapons off through progression, meaning if you were a longsword main or you wanted to try the switch axe, you had to progress to a certain part of the game to be able to try them. Bow was one of the weapons that didn't make it into Tri, but it would reappear in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd with a new mechanic, the arc shot. If you recall, you can take manual aim with the bow by holding R1 or the right shoulder button on the PSP. Doing so now would lead to the new arc.
Oh man, I used to have a PSP. That shit was so gas, man. I played Hot Wheels Ultimate Racing on that bitch. Oh, that shit was so cool. Oh my god. Yeah, I was a very car-oriented kid. I loved cars, bro. I even like bought like Hot Wheel figurines. Ugh. Man, my childhood. Anyway, I could see this being like a PSP game. Yeah, for sure.
Shot mechanic. By fully charging the bow while in manual aim mode, a new indicator will present itself to the player covering a circular area of them based on how they are aiming. By continuing to hold the charge and pressing the circle button, the hunter will perform this new arc shot mechanic, which comes in 3 flavors. I'm
assuming this covers an area instead of just having arrows like arc and like, you know, an arc.
Which do KO damage within the generation if hitting the head.
Wow.
First is Focus, which will cause multiple pellets or coconuts, there's a million names for these things, to fall onto the location from above. It's a multi-hit move and very condensed, so it's great for getting KOs.
Yeah.
Next is Wide, which is similar to Focus, but spread out more. This is better for elemental damage as it can hit multiple parts of the monster's body easier.
Amazing.
Next is Blast, which effectively causes a high damage explosion within the radius. While it does also provide KO
that's
damage,
pretty
it
cool.
seems less effective overall.
I like this. This is a nice simple mechanic.
In comparison to the Focus or Wide shots. A new coating was added to the mix as well, specifically called Exhaust Coating, which was used for both tiring out a monster and applying KO damage if connecting shots to the head. Now that's all for Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. So what did Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate bring to the table now that the bow was finally set to appear in Moga Village? Well, let me tell you. Wham! Wham! Mommy, wham!
What?
Monster Hunter is too hard.
What is going on? Oh my god, it's one of these tangents again, isn't it? Oh boy.
Artificial difficulty bullshit. Why does my weapon keep bouncing?
Oh my god. Oh my god, it's one of these tangents again. Alright, let it play.
This big sword is so slow. I keep triple carding to Black Diablos. Devil Joe gives me nightmares, mommy. How is it even possible to dodge that attack? I killed the monster twice and I still didn't get a ruby. This is dumb. I keep getting two-shotted. Wah! Hey, SuperRAD here. G rank got you down. Can't manage those multi-monster hunts. Generally a little bitch.
Generally a little bitch. I cannot. This is hilarious. I mean, for players who just like generally like want to play a bow because you think bows are cool, hey, fair enough. I can see bows being cool, bro.
Is mindlessly button mashing the only thing you've ever intended to do? Well then, kid, you're in luck. The Kelby bow is just for you. That's right, you could be out there fighting monsters with badass manly weapons made of your quarry's bones, scales, teeth, and fucking brain matter. But instead, you're going to use a pissant little fucking slingshot made from pissant little fucking deer that has a super annoying sound effect to boot. There's a good boy. There's a good little boy with a simple unbranching upgrade path that mostly uses materials from herbivores that don't even know how to put up a fight as you slaughter them. We're talking the Kelby Sting Shot into the Kelby Strong Shot into the Great Kelby Strong Shot. Even a lazy, unskilled prick like yourself will soon be taking down Alatreon without the slightest bit of skill or attention.
Jesus Christ. Kelby horns? Oh man.
All you have to do to be taking on quests that are meant to be difficult and engaging while expending absolutely no effort nor ever improving your skill at the game is forge yourself an armor set with Awaken and Bombardier. Want your rare drops handed to your stubby Dorito stained figure? Want your rare drops handed to your stubby Dorito-stained fingers on a silver platter? Then also get high-grade earplugs and Destroyer. What's that? You can get all of those skills super easily on the Cedius X set? Great! Now you can farm one easy monotonous quest and make all future quests just as easy and monotonous. Now here's where things get technical, so don't forget to take notes, fuckface. The Great Kelby Deer Shot's level 1 charge. That means to simply fire without charging the shot, dumb shit. Is scatter 3. That means you fire 5 pellets forward in a 30-degree spray. That's right, you dumb, uncoordinated bastard. You don't even have to aim. With the Awaken skill, and here's the real kicker, you get 350 fucking slime. Add Bombardier, and you've got 420. Blaze it. And
yo, somebody explain a little bit. What the fuck is, like, slime? Me when you slime or something. I don't know, like, what?
Max out at 460
I don't get it.
with Feline Pyro Meat plus Booze. So you've got your pansy ass all geared up. What now, you ask? Just stand 10 feet away from your target and keep pressing X.
Wow.
That's literally
riveting gameplay, bro.
Literally it. Spam your way to victory. Look at all the pretty colors. Look at all the pretty explosions. Look at all the cars you totally earned. By some freak chance, are you not utterly soul-crushingly alone? Get 3 friends with the same set for maximum
Oh
cheese.
my god.
Watch those endgame arena quests become complete yawn fests. Rack up those guild points you definitely deserve. Be that guy who's HR 125 using a bow and still has his fucking auto guard talisman equipped. Congratulations,
Fucking
you
hell.
have officially killed a monster with the least amount of effort possible by exploiting the shit out of a mechanic that was already a little bit broken to begin with. Doesn't that feel great? Aren't you just really fucking happy for yourself?
Bro, some of this hateful, like, ranting about, like, okay, like, I get it, and there is some truth to the rant. Why would you make the game that's supposed to be engaging, and mind you, I've felt this quote-unquote engagement, bro. The fact I was able to literally, like, stop watching YouTube just to, like, I'm like, I'll go focus on this quest, right? This quest is cool, you know, I want to get engaged. Like, I'm engaged, bro. It's keeping my attention span nicely. It's fucking great. But like the thing is that why would you make it monotonous, bro? Your brain will drift somewhere else. It's not fun anymore. You're not having any skill. And like when he suggested, oh, why not 4 of your friends have it? I'm like, oh my god.
Honestly, other than the Kelby bow, the only big inclusion was the introduction of slime coating, which was very limited in the types of bows that could even utilize it. It was nice for getting extra blast damage, however, as slime was incredibly overpowered in 3 Ultimate. It guarantees a slime proc, meaning you could potentially get more consistent explosions off by applying it after pushing the tolerance of slime on the monster fairly high. So using slime coating on something like the Kelby bow early on isn't very useful because this weapon already has slime, but if you find the fight has gone on for a while and the monster's tolerance to slime has risen fairly high, applying a coating may not be a bad idea. With all that out of the way, it's time to move on to Generation 4, where we'll see how aerial style moves have affected the weapon, additional mechanics added, and in Generations, styles and arts.
Okay. Here we go.
Remember how I said in the Generation 2 section that the range in which you shoot your arrows determines the amount of damage they produce? Further, that damage and range is dependent on the type of arrow being shot. This ability became known as critical distance, and it was made more obvious in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Now, when landing a critical distance shot, the player would have their screen shake, allowing them to know that they were producing as much damage as possible. Many seem to believe this was introduced in 4th Gen, but as we all know through watching this video, that isn't the case. This is most likely due to it not being as obvious in these previous generations, but I promise you it did exist. Usually you just see larger sparks.
This is such a strange looking bow. It's really cool looking though.
Fly off of the monster, and it wasn't always discernible if your attack was at optimal range. The next inclusion is the power shot, which is an additional function to bows similar to the arc shot. In fact, this basically split bows into 2 main groups, those with arc shots and those with power shots. Honestly, from a glance, these seem incredibly effective, and you get 2 options on how to use them. Consider that you have a bow with 3 charge levels, and you hold your shot until charge level 2. By pressing A instead of simply letting go of the shot, you will perform what's known as the power shot, and the effect of the shot will be 1 charge level higher than the shot you were previously about to make, unless at full charge, as it has nowhere else to go. But here's where it gets crazy. The main utility of power shots isn't simply substituting your original attack with a more powerful one. Instead, you can press A immediately after firing off a normal attack to perform an additional power shot attack. Imagine firing off a charge level 2 attack and immediately following that up with a charge level 3 attack, essentially doubling the fire rate and damage possible for the bow over time. An interesting
and like a singular attack. That's pretty cool. Wow, okay.
Interesting mechanic with SuperRAD bows is that it turns close range coatings into power coatings, and using the melee attack with the coating will produce white sharpness level modifiers. This made close range coatings gain a lot more utility and use within this generation in comparison to Gen 2 or Gen 3. The final addition is the ability to perform an aerial melee and ranged attack. It's a bow melee attack, so it's not going to be super useful.
Yeah,
However,
of course.
since mounting was so easy in Monster Hunter 4 and 4 Ultimate, it is worth attempting to get mounts when possible. Hunters could also shoot arrows from the air as well. This was actually spammable near a ledge due to the recoil knocking you back or something.
What? Oh my god.
Think you could roll around to keep it happening, so it could become very useful to deal mounting damage. Okay, so moving on to generations, let's take a look at the mechanical differences as well as which styles and arts are best to use for this weapon. One of the big changes is the power shot and arc shot can now be used on any bow, meaning there is no longer a divide between the two types of abilities. A player could charge up and then use their specific arc shot, or instead fire off and use their power shot. There's also a new base shot type added known as heavy shot, which is very useful at breaking monster parts and honestly became king of the meta. Maybe not in generations because of the Teostra bow, but definitely in Ultimate. The heavy shots have a shorter travel distance before drop off in comparison to the other available shot types, meaning you had two options. You either got really close to the monster, bad idea, or you learned to better arc your shots to increase the travel distance.
But it's got such a good what was I gonna say? I've used the word before, obviously. It's such a good incentive, though.
The critical distance for the shot was during drop-off, so it was best to keep your distance and arc high. There's even a new coating. Similar to the power coating, players can apply elemental coating to improve their elemental damage, but the amount you can bring with you is low and generally ill-advised to use in a hunt unless absolutely necessary. On top of that, the functionality of power and elemental coatings is modified to come in two levels. Power coating level 1 is essentially a weaker version of what you had in 4U, and power coating level 2 was the normal version you may be used to. Elemental also came in these two levels. Now, in the original release, Adept style was absolutely the meta option for bow users. It was great because it offered a large amount of evasive options for the class. By properly Adept dodging, the hunter would be granted a maximum charge right away, so keeping one's distance and then evading as the monster approached was incredibly useful, especially when paired with heavy shots and power shots. It also doesn't produce an arc shot, so you can go straight into a power shot if desired. Once Generations Ultimate came out and Valor and Alchemy styles were introduced, there was finally a new option for bow hunters to use. Valor really walked all over Adept and became one of the de facto styles to use. You lose access to both power shots and arc shots in this mode while not in the Valor state, but building up the gauge is fairly easy thanks to the Valor sheath and sheath cancel moves. The cancel is a Valor charge shot that has 2 levels outside of the Valor state and 3 within, and it's really effective at raising the gauge and should be used often to do so. Once in Valor mode, the back dive is restored and hunters can now produce 2 power shots in a row instead of 1. Yeah, it's bonkers. This effectively meant that the bow could now shoot 3 shots in succession, such as a fully charged normal shot followed by the first power shot and finally finishing with the second power shot. This second power shot is known as a regular shot, and I'll be using that terminology later on in the video. Damage output became absolutely insane for this weapon. In Gen and Gen Ultimate, bow arts were alright, but absolute readiness was generally much more useful. In Adept style, you may have brought along Haste Rain, which improved movement and charge speed, and in Generations Ultimate, you may have brought Tactical Retreat, since it worked as a dedicated evade with iframes and allowed you to quickly enter a full charge state, which did not account for distance when calculating damage.
Done everything charging this bow, bro.
Overall though, bow really did get the shaft in this department. Okay, I think that's all there is to say for Generation 4. Let's finally move on to Generation 5 and take a look at World, Iceborne, and Rise.
Here we go. Talk to me nice. Oh, yes. Worlds and their weapons, man.
Okay, the bow in World is completely reworked, like massively reworked in many areas. The biggest change is that the shot types are no longer dependent on what bow you are using, but are instead built into the multiple moves for the bow. In fact, the only difference really are what coats can be applied to which bows and the damage or element of the bows themselves. Rapid shots have been reworked to actually be a rapid input used by the player.
Oh my goodness. Hello.
Simply pressing R2 3 times consecutively, the hunter will produce 3 tiers of attacks. Each of these attacks
load.
Is a higher charge level when done consecutively, so it's a great way to build up your charge, but that's about it. You'll most likely be using it to build charge and then using other abilities to stay in max charge state for as long as possible.
Holy shit.
Spread shots, now known as quick shots, have been moved to the circle button, and are fairly effective if all attacks manage to land. It doesn't cost stamina to use and is very useful for stamina regen when restarting your rotation. This can be comboed into a power shot and then again into an arc shot. This is super useful for the arc shot as it's dependent on charge level, and the combo will treat it as if it's a level 3 charge. We'll get into the arc shots shortly, but power shots mostly functioned as you would expect with little changes, such as being able to use it after a rapid shot. You could do a full rapid combo and then finish off with a power shot if you wanted, but I don't think this was the meta or the strategy in any capacity. Arc shots also have been reworked in that they can be used in any charge level by pressing circle while holding down R2. Due to this, the effectiveness of the shot is now dependent on the charge level you fire it off at. It also no longer eats up a coating, but consequently will not apply status effects or be buffed in any way. Luckily, KO damage remains. Level 3 charge is a very long stream of attacks and seems to do roughly double the damage of uncharged, so it's highly advantageous to use the level 3 arc shots when possible. To clarify about these charge levels, more levels means more spiky coconut things, which means more KO. However, this would get nerfed in Iceborne. This attack can be performed with or without aiming, so it's up to the hunter how
you have the fucking burst shot thingy.
Specific they want to get with these. Close range coating now comes with all bows and has unlimited uses. This means there's no excuse to not use coatings at any point in time, as you will always perform more damage with a coating than without. The downside, with air quotes if you want to call it that, is that you'll need to be closer to the monster to get the proper critical distance. So while this is more dangerous, it's necessary in order to optimize damage. There's a huge...
It's good. You're incentivized to, at least get close, use it like a shotgun. Because you're not just gonna stay far away and keep arc shotting it because it's really suboptimal.
Quality of life improvement introduced in World as well, specifically how the reticule while aiming will now show you whether or not you were within critical distance of the monster, or if you were out of range. When in critical distance, the reticle will produce a second circle around the icon. This is the tell that any shot will gain the extra damage from critical distance. Now, if you move further away, the reticle will outright tell you that you are out of range. There's another new move addition known as the Dragon Piercer attack, which is activated by pressing triangle and circle together. This attack is very powerful and also uses the applied coating. The damage is dependent on charge, so you'll get the greatest effect by, for example, charging up to level 3 by holding R2 and then pressing triangle and circle. Just to point out though, this is effectively where the Pierce Shot has been moved to, so it will perform multiple hits depending on the charge level. While the move may seem effective to use, it's apparently trash 90% of the time, so you probably won't be using it very often.
If you're going for a nimble, yes. Unless you're I don't know, some fucking... Then again, the charge time is suboptimal though, so... everything isn't supposed to be optimized, but you get what I'm saying, right? Archers are more on the nimble side, so having a charge shot this long, you are doing a bit much. That's like great sword territory, bro.
Diving from Generation 4 has been removed and replaced with a new move known as Charging Sidestep, which allows the hunter to quickly slide around in an inputted direction while charging their bow. Performing this evasive option comes with utility, as it will charge your bow 1 level each time you use it, meaning you're not going to be losing charge by evading. When at max charge, it will keep said charge level active, leading to what is effectively known as dash dancing. And knowing when to do this is crucial.
Oh my god, I know that term. Mainly because of Brawlhalla.
to efficient bow play. There's a jumping melee attack out of this you can use by pressing triangle after the sidestep, and it produces mounting damage, so it may be useful. I doubt you'd be using it much, but maybe. You can even sidestep into a wall to produce a unique aerial attack similar to how Sword and Shield has the ability to do the same thing for Helmbreaker. Moving on to Iceborne, the big Slinger Burst inclusion is known as Thousand Dragons and functions effectively like a powerful shotgun for condensed damage. While in manual aim mode, you can click the right stick to activate your slinger. From here, pressing triangle and circle together will activate the attack and fire off both the normal shot and the slinger burst at the same time. Obviously, damage is based on the pods you—
Oh my god! Nah, do that with some bomb pods. Oh.
bring, so the move can be situational. And from what I understand, you're better off using your main rotation like normal and maybe using this move for something like a wake up. What really makes this move interesting, in my opinion, is how the game considers the shot mechanically. Essentially, you're performing a high damage spread shot, so by applying coatings, you'll actually still get the effects of the coatings applied to all of the slinger hit. Finally, we can move on to Monster Hunter Rise and discuss the new inclusions, reworkings, and silkbind attacks for the bow in this inclusion. The biggest inclusion, in my opinion, is they seem to have brought back the secondary power shot ability known as a regular shot. Specifically, after a power shot, you can perform a secondary power shot by pressing the A button a second time. Additionally, even though things like Rapid Shot combo from World are still included, it seems like variable shot types have marked their return. For example, the second charge level of the demo bow will produce pierce shots. In fact, a lot of the bow's uniqueness seems to be back, with even power shots potentially being affected based on the bow type in regards to what shot type they'll produce. I don't know why I made that sentence so long. It's a weird decision for sure, since all of the shot types were kind of worked into various different combos, and those combos make a return in this entry, mostly. Even Dragon Piercer is back, so it's particularly surprising to see pierce shots in a normal charge attack. However, it should be noted that quick shots seem to have been removed and replaced with the old school melee attack. For what reason, I have no idea. The melee attacks always sucked, and quick shot was a much more beneficial option for both.
Why? Sure.
Mains. Now here's a cool inclusion that probably ties into the custom moves. Arc Shot has changed in the demo for Rise. Instead of producing multi-hit KO damage within a specific area, it now instead creates a buff effect for players within it. A lot of speculation was happening within the community about bow taking on a more supportive role in Monster Hunter Rise, but I think it might be safe to theorize that the bow will be able to change which type of Arc Shot it uses by switching out.
That would be cool. That's not already a thing? That's crazy.
Certain moves. Maybe we'll have the option for multiple area of effect buffs, or the originally damage dealing KO ability we're used to seeing from previous generations.
That'd be cool.
Herculean Draw is the first of the new Silkbind abilities. It allows the hunter to evade temporarily and gives them a brief buff to attack power. I assume the move has iframes similar to the next ability we'll discuss, but I'm not completely sure, so feel free to clarify for me in the comments. An evasive option on top of a damage boost means this ability costs 2 wire bugs instead of 1. Focus Shot is the second ability in the demo. I don't know why they call it Focus Shot, because I don't believe you shoot anything during this ability, but that doesn't mean it's useless by any means. In fact, one of the best options for bows is Evasive Opportunities, and Focus Shot allows the user to essentially wirefall backwards with iframes to get out of sticky situations. On top of that,
that's cool, but like, why call it Focus Shot? But then if you're not shooting anything. Okay.
The hunter ends up in the new crouch state where their stamina will begin to regenerate rapidly, making it very easy to get back into the action. Next is aerial aim, which was shown off recently at the digital event. I can't show my own footage for this move as we don't have access to it in the demo, but it can be switched out with Focus Shot and launches the hunter into the air. While in the air, shots performed by the hunter will receive a boost to damage. On to switch skills, the bow can swap out its power shot ability for absolute power shot, which will cost more stamina than a traditional power shot but also output KO damage. I'm not sure on the motion value specifically, but even if power shot isn't more powerful, the extra stamina cost could mean less damage over time. And I'd imagine you're only going to be seeing maybe 1 knockdown per hunt, but let me know if this is off base. Dodgeball can be swapped in to remove charging sidestep, and will allow a hunter to time their evade so that they barely dodge an enemy's attack. Doing so rewards the hunter with quickly charging the bow, and hunters can use something like Evade Extender to make the distance of the dodge larger. Hunters
That's
can
pretty
dodge both
cool.
forward and backwards as well as to the sides. I believe that's all I have for you on the bow in Generation 5 and the generations before it. If I missed
Oh,
anything,
man.
please consider informing me in the comments and I'll make clarifications where I can.
Wow, what a weapon.
In a way, the bow reminds me a lot of the hunting horn. It's a weapon that received a lot of mechanical changes throughout generations, but the biggest similarity is how it changed in World and how the hunting horn changed in Rise. Both weapons were heavily streamlined, the bow having most of its situational depth instead built into the combo system of every bow. While this may seem to take away from the amount of uniqueness per bow, it is nice to have all abilities at your fingertips regardless of which type of bow you decided to use. It breaks down a barrier when it comes to the selection and crafting and means that hunters gain the ability to try out a larger variety of options. With Rise bringing back unique shot types, it'll be interesting to see how that works its way into the bow crafting process. Overall, this is potentially one of the longest weapon history scripts I have ever written, and that's because this weapon was just introduced with so many mechanics and options in comparison to most other weapons out there. It's surprising really because hunters usually—
And then they're also doing a lot of like switching this, to switch that. Wait, no, I actually want this, bring this back. And they're changing a lot of shit. And where you do have to kind of explain it away because, well, that's the topic of the video. What did they change? How did it evolve over time? And there's really a lot of changes with the bow. A lot more than usual that I'm usually seeing.
Suggest that blade masters transition over to bow first if they want to attempt using gun or weaponry, but the bow turned out to be one of the most mechanically diverse options I've seen so far. Anyway, that's all I have for you today in regards to the bow.
I know Armando was waiting for this one specific. Wait, actually, no, not Armando. Was it him? Hold on. Let me check my notifications real quick. Who was it? Who was it? What was it? Okay. Okay, I cannot find it. Anyhow, someone was waiting for the insect grave, but don't worry, that'll come soon enough. And also, the next episode will be long. Oh my days, 2 hours 7 minutes. Y'all better get ready for that one. My God, you lot are eating good, bro. I got tired at the end of this video. My God, because like the changes happen a lot, right? And I'm not too familiar with, obviously, with the bow. Like, sure, the switch axe, all good, and the files with the charge blade, okay, fine. The bow, I kind of broke my brain in the middle of it, bro. Although it is a solid weapon for like if you just want to keep your distance, or you want to get close as well. Obviously you're already swinging around a bunch of these weapons. Why not have a weapon that shoots shit? I'd say that's still pretty solid, still pretty cool. And if it's functioning just fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Anyhow, thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. I will probably sleep after this recording. Although I probably will edit it first so it's rendering while I'm asleep. Anyhow, the Discord server is finally open. You guys can join again. It is in the description. Just open it when you see the read more shit. And yeah, please take care of yourselves, guys. Do not lose sleep over my videos, and I hope I can post this a lot earlier, right? Than like, oh, I'll do it later. I edit it. 2 hours go by, and then like I'm uploading it at like when it's like the afternoon. Well, not afternoon. Sorry, when it's completely like midnight. But like, hey, do not lose sleep over my videos. Please, guys, take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye. See you at the Discord.